At the end of the Ice Age, I accumulated tens of billions of supplies. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 601 Returning. Deng Shentang was speechless. He is not a fool. Of course he understands that Zhang Yi is declining his invitation. But Zhang Yi also gave him enough face, and he expressed it clearly in his words. Zhang Yi, is a genius in defense and doesn't like to run around and take risks all day long. Of course it would be inappropriate for him to join the investigation team. After Deng Shentang looked at Zhang Yi for a few seconds, he suddenly laughed. He pointed at Zhang Yi. You are indeed a bit of an interesting person, with a smooth tongue, obviously very strong but so stubborn. It's steady. Zhang Yi corrected him. But won't you get bored of being in that ghostly place all day? Deng Shentang looked at Zhang Yi playfully. People who have great power will be eager to find a way to show it, otherwise they will always feel dissatisfied in their hearts. Can you bear this kind of thing in a corner for the rest of your life? Zhang Yi nodded honestly. Yes. Is it bad to live? Besides, he didn't live in seclusion in the mountains and forests to endure hardships. The environment in his home was so good, he didn't have to worry about food and clothing, and he was accompanied by a bunch of beauties. This day is so comfortable. He went out to fight and kill with others when he had something wrong. Deng Shentang's eyes were a little confused. He didn't quite understand Zhang Yi's thoughts. But this is also normal. After all, Deng Shentang already had all the things that Zhang Yi wanted since he was born. What Deng Shentang pursues is to become a hero, enjoy the supreme glory and the excitement of bloody fighting. Deng Shentang pointed at Zhang Yi and wanted to say something, but suddenly sighed helplessly. Well, everyone has their own aspirations. Since you think so, I won't force it. But if you change your mind one day, you can contact me. Of course, it's not that I really want you to join my team. It's just that I give you such a chance. You'd better come to me as soon as possible. Otherwise once I meet a more suitable player, you can only be a substitute gone. Zhang Yi laughed in his heart, but said sincerely on his face, Thank you Captain Deng. I will definitely think about it after I go back. Although Zhang Yi rejected Deng Shentang, he also gave Deng Shentang enough face. Deng Shentang was not annoyed, instead he chatted with Zhang Yi for a long time. Although Deng Shentang looks very forthright, completely like a rich second generation, but his tone is relatively strict. It's okay to chat with him about eating, drinking and having fun, but when Zhang Yi wanted to get information about Linhai City from him, he took it lightly. Zhang Yi thought to himself, after all, he is a well-informed person, so don't underestimate him. The two chatted for a while, and their personalities were still on paragraph. When it got dark, Zhang Yi got up to say goodbye. Wait a minute, I have a little gift for you. Deng Shentang snapped his fingers outside, and a waitress came in carrying a black box. Zhang Yi looked at the black box. This is? Deng Shentang smiled and said, Don't you know it at a glance? Zhang Yi nodded and reached out to take it, feeling very heavy. He opened the box and looked. In the box, densely packed are all pitch black bullets. Origin bomb. Zhang Yi couldn't help blurting out that there are at least hundreds of origin bombs in it. According to Luke Karen, the cost of an origin bomb is no less than 100,000. Of course, this is still based on the price level before the end of the world. Today, it is more difficult to obtain resources, and under the condition of limited working conditions, it is not too much to multiply its value by 10 times. And when Deng Shentang made a move, it was 100 origin bullets. It can only be said that the rich second generation is the rich second generation. Zhang Yi looked flattered. Captain Deng, how embarrassing. Your gift is too heavy, I can't accept it. Deng Shentang smiled faintly, waved his hands and said, This kind of thing is nothing to me. But it is very necessary to you, right? Just accept it, and it will help you in the future. Seeing this, Zhang Yi stopped declining, then thanked Captain Deng. If there is anything you can do to gain Zhang Yi in the future, please feel free to ask. Zhang Yi will definitely do his best. Deng Shentang nodded in satisfaction. Well, let's do this for today. Next time if you come to Blizzard City, maybe we will have a chance to meet again. Zhang Yi backhanded the origin bullet into the different space. This method still made Deng Shentang a little moved. Zhang Yi bid farewell and left Deng's house. Deng Shentang looked at Zhang Yi's back, feeling a little regretful in his heart. Because that kind of spatial ability is indeed extremely rare, if you can bring such a different person with you, it will make it much easier for him to go on missions in the future. What's more, Zhang Yi's own combat effectiveness is not weak. Bai Chunai walked behind Deng Shentang and asked, "Captain, is Zhang Yi willing to join our investigation team?" Deng Shentang said flatly, "No," he refused. Bai Chunai was a little surprised. What? She and he turned it down. You know, how many people would never dream of such an opportunity, but he turned it down. The corners of Deng Shentang's mouth curled up slightly. Perhaps this is what makes him interesting. "Hey man, you managed to get my attention." Then you gave him a box of origin bombs. Deng Shentang smiled disapprovingly. "It's just a box of origin bombs. What's the big deal? As long as someone is useful to me, no matter how much they pay to win me over, I can accept it. Those who plan to dominate the King's Way, don't be stingy with the details. Even if Zhang Yi doesn't join my Xianshan team, today's affection will make him remember my benefits." Bai Chunai took a deep breath and saluted him respectfully. "The captain is wise. Your wisdom and mind are admirable." Zhang Yi left Deng's house, and the driver of Deng's house was waiting outside. Seeing him coming, he asked him to get in the car and sent him back. Zhang Yi's impression of the Deng family couldn't help but get better. Originally, he thought that the sons of such big families must be domineering. "Those who follow me prosper, and those who oppose me perish." However, Deng Shentang's demeanor made him realize that not all second generations of big families are so arrogant and brainless. Even if Zhang Yi did not agree to join the Xianshan team, Deng Shentang did not show any dissatisfaction with him. "It's good to make friends with this kind of person," Zhang Yi said secretly in his heart. He got in the car and went back to the apartment. After returning, other members of the team came to ask him how his chat with Deng Shentang was going. After everyone listened, they felt relieved. Fortunately, Deng Shentang did not embarrass Zhang Yi. Otherwise, it would not be a good thing for Zhang Yi if there was friction on the territory of Xianhe City. And they can't leave Zhang Yi either. Zhao Ke asked, "Then what shall we do next? Do we want to go back?" Zhang Yi thought of the group of strangers in Day City. His eyes drooped slightly, and he said lightly, "It's time to go back. By the way, prepare a gift for them." Chapter 602 The Speculation of the Stranger in Asura City, the Alien Group and Xianhe City. After Zhang Yi and Deng Shentang finished communicating, there was no reason to stay in Blizzard City. He immediately called Zhao Hanglian, crossing Xian and Chen Jingwen over. The three came to Zhang Yi's room, where all members of Zhang Yi's team were. Zhang Yi pointed to the sofa. "Sit down. There is something I should tell you now." The three of them were at a loss, and sat obediently across from Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi stared at them, and said with a very serious expression, "I'm going back to Xianhe City soon. I'll leave tonight. If you don't have other important things, go back with me." The three of them were a little surprised when they heard what Zhang Yi said. Zhao Hanglian glanced at the sky outside and asked puzzledly, "Are you in such a hurry? It's getting dark, and you can't wait until tomorrow to go back." Chen Jingwen is now Zhang Yi's younger brother. After some speculation, he asked, "Boss, is it because of those strangers in Day City?" Everyone was very surprised by Chen Jingwen's address. Zhang Yi has become the leader of Zhao base. He has not had time to tell anyone. Seeing the weird expressions on everyone's faces, Zhang Yi said casually, "Oh, let me tell you. Now Chao base is under my management, and Chen Jingwen is also my subordinate. It's good for everyone to know." Zhang Yi said it lightly, but to Zhao Hanglian and crossing Shan, this matter was like a big earthquake. Chen Jingwen took the initiative to join Zhang Yi. So what should they do in the future? Although they were willing to surrender to Zhang Yi in the past, they all had selfish motives. Crossing Shan and Zhao Han practiced more or less because they wanted to be the leaders of the base. They can tell which is more comfortable, being someone else's younger brother, or being a boss. And what Chen Jingwen did made them have to consider the future situation. Now there are alien organizations from other cities outside, and they may invade Cheyenne City one day. Then, the Zhao base has become Zhang Yi's power, and it will definitely get Zhang Yi's protection. And they're hard to say. The two hesitated in their hearts, considering whether they should learn from Chen Jingwen and do the same. For a while, they didn't make up their minds, and they still planned to go back and think it through. Regardless of their inner thoughts, Zhang Yi continued, I know you are very angry with the actions of those people in Days City. I said that the most important thing now is the assembly of the district, and everything else has to be put aside. Now that the assembly of the district is over, we can free up our hands and concentrate on dealing with those guys. Based on the current situation, they have determined that Cheyenne City is weak, and the invasion of Cheyenne City has become a certainty. And it is very likely that the Jiangnan region's energy is focused on Linhai City. Let's go back as soon as possible and get ready. I have the advantage in local combat. Zhang Yi explained simply and quickly. He had said this to his team before, but this was the first time he told the heads of the three factions. Chen Jingwen's eyes lit up immediately, and he said happily, Boss, you are really clever. Make a decision. Before you make a decision, let them mistakenly think that Cheyenne City's strength is weak, and then carelessly underestimate the enemy. When the time comes, we will open our net, wait for them to fall into the trap, and then annihilate them in one fell swoop. Chen Jingwen's eyes became brighter and brighter. At that time, everyone will know the strength of Cheyenne City, and they will not dare to covet us again. High. It is really high. Chen Jingwen is worthy of being the second in command all the time, boasting top-notch skills. Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing. This kid, now that he is no longer the leader of Chaoyu base, the burden in his heart has become lighter, and he has started to let himself go again. Some people are not born to be the leader, probably people like Chen Jingwen. And Zhao Hanglian and Crossing Cheyenne also showed joy when they heard the words. They have been humiliated quite a lot recently. When the strangers in Days City saw them, they were full of ridicule, and even the strangers from other cities looked down on them. Because of Zhang Yi's order, the two did not dare to conflict with those people, and chose to endure silently. Now Zhang Yi told them to fight back. Of course they are willing to vent their anger. Zhao Hanglian leaned forward and asked excitedly, do you have any plans? How do you want us to cooperate? Zhang Yi said indifferently, respond to all changes with the same. He spread his hands. We don't know what actions the other party will take, but fighting in our homeland, the right time, place, and people are all on our side. After each family goes back, take precautions and organize their weapons. Then be vigilant, and don't relax for a moment. As for what to do next, it depends on their movements. Zhang Yi has a clear understanding of himself. He is not some clever Zhu Liang who can use tricks to play tricks on the opponent. Therefore, he must make all preparations in a down-to-earth manner, and first make himself invincible. At least if he really wants to fight, with his current strength. Looking at the entire Jiangnan region, there are not many opponents who can be called opponents. The crowd nodded. Under the premise of lack of intelligence on the alien forces in Days City, this approach is the most robust. Zhang Yi immediately asked everyone to go back, to prepare to pack their things, and then took the special train back to Cheyenne City. This point Zhu Zeng said, they can leave Blizzard City at any time. But if you want to come again, you must get permission from Blizzard City. Everyone knows that now. If you go back earlier, you can prepare for battle earlier. After all, no one knows when the foreigner in Days City will act. So everyone went back one after another, summoned their soldiers, and left the apartment together. They were not small in number, so the news of their departure could not be concealed from the strangers in Days City. Some people were responsible for following them, and when they noticed that they had left, they immediately reported to the ears of several leaders. After Sun Jianming got the news, his eyes flickered, and then he sneered. Running away overnight, I was worried that we would attack them. It's really embarrassing. His contempt for the alien organization in Cheyenne City grew even stronger. It looks like it's time to act. Cheyenne City is rich in supplies, and shouldn't be occupied by these weak forces. That would be a waste. After beating Chen Jingwen violently, Sun Jianming stole the limelight, and now he is in full swing. Almost everyone could tell that he would attack Cheyenne City, or at least attack the fleet at Chaoyu base. However, He is not as arrogant as he appears on the surface. He is rough and subtle, and his heart is more stable. Although Shanghai City is weak, my family is the only one going there. Even if they win, it will be a miserable victory. I have to let other forces cooperate with me in this matter. With this in mind, Sun Jianming immediately took out his mobile phone, contacted Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdi, and invited them to drink tea with him. Chapter 603 1. Dominate the Sky Sea. When Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdi received Sun Jianming's news, they both understood what Sun Jianming was thinking. After Chen Jingwen exposed Shanghai City's current strength, not only Days City, but also other organizations in many cities, have tacitly coveted Shanghai City. Everyone is looking for a chance to swallow this piece of fat. And in Days City, which is just northwest of Shanghai City, it is absolutely possible to get the moon and step into the main Shanghai City first. But there are still 3 cates of nails in the rotten ship. Even if Shanghai City is destroyed, the background of several forces cannot be underestimated. For the sake of prudence, it is the most sensible way for everyone to join hands to cover up. Chen Liangyu and Gu Hongdi came to Sun Jianming's room. Several people are old acquaintances, and Sun Jianming is not polite to them. You two, the minions of Shanghai City, ran away in the dark. I don't know what you think about this piece of fat. Gu Hongdi smiled coquettishly, but a sly light flashed in her eyes. We all want to eat this piece of fat, so don't hide it. Sun Jianming, just tell me what you think. She glanced at Chen Liangyu next to her. I guess the 3 of us have the same thoughts in our hearts. Chen Liangyu nodded with a smile. Sun Jianming laughed loudly. Okay, I'll just say it straight. Shanghai City is obviously a piece of fat. We have to start as soon as possible. Otherwise it is easy to be snatched by others. It's hard for our family to eat this piece of fat, so it's better for the 3 families to unite. Sun Jianming sat on the sofa with great determination, holding his knee with one hand. However, although their forces are weak, there are also strangers who can handle them. For example, Zhao Honglian from Yangsheng base, Crossing Shine from Qingpu base, and Zhang Yi. They should not be weak. It's not good for us to fight to the death. It's easy to let others be the Oriole. That's why I suggest that the 3 of us jointly put pressure on them. Let them hand over most of Shanghai City's resources, and we gave them a way out. Anyway, Shanghai City is so big, leaving some resources for them is enough for them to survive. We did not fight, and seized most of the territory and supplies. Isn't it beautiful? After Gu Hongdi listened, approval flashed in her eyes. She nodded. This proposal is indeed good. If it is not necessary, we don't want to start a war easily. It's best if they are sensible. If they are stubborn, then destroy them. During the conversation of the 3 people, they already regarded Shanghai City as something in their pockets. No wonder. Judging from the number of people coming from Shanghai City this time, the power of Shanghai City is indeed too weak. Other forces coming to Blizzard City must at least be aliens. And the aliens in Shanghai City almost died in the war against Yuan Kangai. Even they need to bring some ordinary people over to top up. Strictly speaking, the sum of all the aliens in the entire Shanghai City now may be a little more than the aliens in Sun Jianming's personal hands. Chen Liangyu said, then let's act as soon as possible. Someone in the province will come to fight for this piece of fat. After chatting about this, the 3 forces began to take out the map of Shanghai City and divide up the territory of Shanghai City. Finally, an agreement was reached, and they began to draft letters, intending to send them to the leaders of several major forces in Shanghai City. Zhang Yi and others hurriedly left Blizzard City and returned to Shanghai City on the Jiangnan special train. After walking out of Xiaomiaoshan subway station, Zhang Yi told everyone to return to their respective territories immediately and start preparations for defense work. Zhao Honglian was a little relieved. He looked towards Zhang Yi. Chen Jingwen was following Zhang Yi, one position behind. He seemed to be Zhang Yi's loyal subordinate. She frowned slightly, feeling a little uncomfortable in her heart. I always feel that closeness and distance have been established. According to Zhang Yi's personality, if a war breaks out, they are very likely to be the one who will be sacrificed. She walked up to Zhang Yi, raised her head and asked, if the aliens from Days City are killed, you will come to save us, right? Of course. Zhang Yi said with a smile. Zhao Honglian. She didn't say anything, because Zhang Yi's answer was so happy that it seemed unreal. Zhao Honglian had known Zhang Yi for so long, so of course he knew what Zhang Yi was like. What he cares most about is always the interests of himself and those around him. Thinking of this, Zhao Honglian made a decision in her heart. She quietly clenched her fists, took a deep breath, and looked directly into Zhang Yi's eyes in front of everyone. Zhang Yi, please accept the Yangsheng base. As soon as these words came out, the scene fell silent. The others looked at Zhao Honglian, then at Zhang Yi. Although this incident surprised everyone, it made sense. The Yangsheng base can no longer withstand a conflict at the level of armed forces. Without Zhang Yi's protection, unless they have been hiding in the underground shelter, they will no longer have the ability to face the crisis. But then, everything they had on the surface would be lost. Chen Jingwen raised the corner of his mouth and exclaimed, "It's a wise choice." He was a little proud. Although everyone is relying on Zhang Yi, but this also pays attention to first come first served. He was the first to join Zhang Yi, and his status must be higher. It's just, his strength is indeed not as good as Zhao Honglian. Crossing Shan, who was about to leave not far away, was stunned by this scene. Everyone else is stupid. Good guy, there are only a few of us in Xianhe City, and now you are all messing with Zhang Yi. What do you want me to do? After hesitating for a moment, he gritted his teeth and ran to Zhang Yi. Old Zhang, from now on, we will follow you in the green base. Zhang Yi's expression was very calm. In fact, he is not particularly interested in the fact that several forces have taken refuge in him, because he does not lack any resources. However, in order to maintain a stable living environment for himself and his team members, there must be no turmoil in Xianhe City. The existence of these forces is one of the important factors for maintaining the harmony of Xianhe City. Zhang Yi looked at Zhao Honglian and Crossing Shan in front of him, and asked calmly, "Do you understand what you need to pay for doing this? Be my younger brother, and you will listen to me, no matter what happens in the future." There was an evil smile on the corner of his mouth. "Even let you die?" Zhao Honglian and Crossing Shan were taken aback. Let them die, they are naturally impossible. But they immediately realized that Zhang Yi was just reminding them that to submit to Zhang Yi, they must obey him unconditionally. In all fairness, no one wants to do this, but the current situation is stronger than others. Xianhe City has such attractive resources, which will definitely cause competition from other city forces. Even if Crossing Shan and Zhao Honglian are both Delta level aliens, they can't do anything without the support of power. It is very difficult for a lone wolf to survive in the last days. Not everyone is Zhang Yi. Since you have to rely on one side after all, it is better to choose someone who knows the basics. At least they took refuge in Zhang Yi, and they could still stay in Xianhe City and enjoy a certain amount of power. Chapter 604. Zhao Honglian and Crossing Shan nodded and agreed to Zhang Yi's request. "We will do whatever you ask us to do in the future. I only hope that you can protect the people in our base and let everyone survive," Zhao Honglian said. Crossing Shan looked at Zhang Yi. "Old Zhang, we had a pretty good relationship in the past. You won't treat me badly, will you?" Zhang Yi smiled. He waved his hand and said, "On weekdays, you will be fine as usual, and then wait for my order." He didn't say too much. After all, he didn't have high demands on the three forces. What's more, no matter how many requests are made, if they encounter major problems, these guys will take their own interests as the starting point. Loyalty. Laughing dead. That kind of thing doesn't exist. It will only be based on Zhang Yi's strength. Zhao Honglian and Crossing Shan nodded, and then left Zhao Miaoshan subway station with their men. "Let's go back to." Zhang Yi took out the snowmobile, and everyone took it back to the shelter. The atmosphere along the way was a little bit dignified. After all, the leisurely days are over. If nothing else, a clash with other cities will soon take place. Why do you always have to fight? So tired. Fatty Zhu sighed and looked bored. This is the general trend. There is no way around it. Uncle, you said. The law of the jungle preys on the strong, and a society that has lost its civilized state follows Darwin's law. I can only hope that the Jiangnan region will establish more comprehensive laws as soon as possible to restrain these forces. Zhang Yi sat on the co-pilot, crossed his arms, listened to the conversation between the two, and said leisurely, "After this battle, we will be much more peaceful." His eyes were flickering, and Zhang Yi couldn't treat the humiliation of those guys in Days City as nothing happened. Kill the chicken to make an example to the monkey. We need a chicken to set an example for others. This time, I'm going to collapse their chicken coop. Everyone returned to the shelter, and several women in the family went out to greet them. It wasn't long before Zhang Yi and others left. Nothing happened at home, and everything was calm as before. But when Zhang Yi and the others finished talking about the experience of Blizzard City, Zhao Heimei and Yang Mi showed helpless expressions on their faces. It's time to fight again. Why can't we live a good life and insist on beating people to death? I really don't understand what those people are thinking. Zhao Heimei shook her head with regret. It seems to be condemning those who do not cherish the good life and insist on fighting with their lives. Uncle Yu put his arms around her shoulders and comforted her with a smile. Don't worry, no matter how big the problem is, we will take care of it. You just need to do your homework well and don't worry about anything else. Zhang Yi sat on the sofa and everyone formed a circle in the living room. Zhang Yi directly started arranging tasks. Xingxin, I have taken over the 3 factions in Xianhai City. You immediately take over their network systems. Through this, we can keep abreast of the movements in various areas of Xianhai City. Yang Xingxin nodded. Okay, brother Zhang Yi. Besides these, I can also try to hack into the network systems of other cities. Zhang Yi froze for a moment and looked at her in surprise. Can you do that too? Yang Xingxin nodded with a smile. In the past, it was because there was no need. Our main opponent was in Xianhai City. But now, the forces that threaten our safety have become forces organized in other cities, so it is necessary to do so. Except for Blizzard City's network, I dare not touch it at will. Unless it is an internal network system, the networks of other cities will not be difficult for me to crack. Although we are in the last days, the network system has not completely collapsed. After all, there are national-level transcendent forces in the 6 major districts, which are maintaining the infrastructure of the national economy and people's livelihood. Most of the forces are inseparable from communication equipment and the central control system. Then they have to rely on the internet, and Yang Xingxin will find loopholes. Zhang Yi's eyes were shining brightly. Then give it a try. Hacking into the network system of Days City. I want to get their combat power information. Preferably the intelligence of other people. Yang Xingxin smiled slightly. Leave this matter to me. Afterwards, Zhang Yi looked at Lu Karen again. Combustible, you have come into contact with a lot of things in Blizzard City recently. For example, that black battlesuit and building materials. You absorb it well, and then the top priority is to reproduce that kind of battlesuit. Zhang Yi is very greedy for the training uniforms in the martial arts arena. It was the first time he saw clothes that could improve one's basic physical fitness through clothes. It is probably similar to a human exoskeleton, which Zhang Yi has seen on the internet. It's just the first time he has seen the development of human exoskeleton technology to the clothing level. With this gadget, the overall strength of their team will be greatly improved. Even for a few girls who are not good at fighting, having it will provide a little more protection for their lives. Roger that. Lu Karen gave a playful military salute. Zhang Yi looked at Yang Mi again. You have to continue your work. The more supernatural food you reserve, the better. Yang Mi nodded her head jovially. I know about it. I haven't slacked off during this time. Zhang Yi nodded approvingly. That's right. Afterwards, there was the preparation of other people's preparations. There was nothing special about it. It was just to make them ready for battle at all times. The next day, Zhang Yi and the others received a letter from Days City. The person who delivered the letter came in a snowmobile. There were 2 cars and 10 people, all of whom were extraordinary people. During the previous gathering, they had already seen that the major forces in Xianhai City were headed by Zhang Yi, so the car drove directly to the shelter. Immediately, the shelter's artificial intelligence system issued an alarm to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi saw the 2 black armored snowmobiles through surveillance. He immediately guessed that these people were from other cities because he had never seen the sign on the car. Zhang Yi quickly changed into his combat uniform and then walked out of the room. Liang Yu and Uncle Yu were also fully dressed and came to Zhang Yi's door. Come on, let's go see what's going on. Liang Yu said. They were very cautious and stopped 200 meters away from the shelter. Judging by their clothes, they should not be locals. Zhang Yi walked downstairs quickly and said, I know, people from Days City should be here. Uncle Yu frowned. Are they here to declare war? Declaration of war? Zhang Yi looked back at Uncle Yu with a funny face. Have you ever seen someone talk about martial arts like this, and they told you in advance if they were going to fight? Uncle Yu, then who are they? Zhang Yi smiled playfully. It should be to intimidate us. Let us surrender without a fight. Chapter 605 High Sounding. After hearing Zhang Yi's words, Uncle Yu and Liang Yu had very strange expressions on their faces. Came here to persuade you to surrender? There is indeed some truth. After all, no matter how badly Xianhei City collapsed, there were still some remaining alien forces and armed capabilities. If a fight broke out, and they were driven to a desperate situation, no one would have a good fruit to eat. But Zhang Yi and the others are not weak. No one really thinks that Zhang Yi and the others are weak, right? Even a few months ago, Zhang Yi and the others were able to win the full-scale attack of multiple bases. Not to mention that now, Zhang Yi's strength has undergone a qualitative change. Yuan Kang of the Epsilon class has been dealt with by Zhang Yi, so who dares to beat him? I'm afraid that the strongest people in Blizzard City would not dare. Zhang Yi also had a playful smile on his lips. Let's go and have a look. Zhang Yi and the others went downstairs, and everyone else in the shelter was waiting for them to come down. With Zhang Yi here, they will have a backbone. Zhang Yi smiled faintly. What are you all looking at? It's okay. Everyone can go about their own business. Huahua jumped onto Zhang Yi's shoulder, and Zhang Yi stroked its soft hair. Uncle Yu and Teacher Liang, just follow me. It's just a group of minions. Why give them too much face? On the contrary, it will appear that Zhang Yi is afraid of them. Several people left the shelter and walked in the direction of the visitor. Zhang Yi opened his right hand slowly in front of him. Dimensional shield. An invisible round shield appeared in front of them, just enough to block all directions around them. Zhang Yi now has 3 defensive uses for the dimensional gate. The gate of the dimension has the largest defense range and the strongest defense power, but it cannot move. Dimensional shield, small defense range, medium defense power, but can be used flexibly, suitable for close defense. The junction of the two worlds has the smallest defense range, but it can form an all-round defense without dead ends, and the dimensional gate is distorted for the spherical characteristics, resulting in the weakest defense. These abilities, he needs to choose carefully according to the situation. Several people stepped on the snow and walked slowly towards the 2 cars. On the car over there were 10 heavily armed soldiers, also staring at this place cautiously. Seeing Zhang Yi and the others approaching, a muscular stranger with beard said leisurely, "They are coming." A companion poked his head out of the window, just glanced at it, and said casually, "Give them the letter quickly, and then we'll go back. Don't waste time in this place." Orphan Monkey in the back seat patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, "It's rare to come here. Don't be so anxious. This place will be our territory from now on." The man curled his lips. "Then I hope they will be more sensible." Several people chatted, but did not pay attention to Zhang Yi and others, because they all believed that Xianhei City had been destroyed long ago, and the remaining strength was completely unable to fight against the 3 major organizations in Linhei City. Zhang Yi and the others walked up to them. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" Zhang Yi asked in a deep voice. The bearded man who took the lead squinted his eyes and looked at Zhang Yi. "Are you Zhang Yi?" Zhang Yi nodded. "That's right." The bearded man smiled, reached out and took out a craft paper file bag from his pocket. "We are from Days City, and we are the messengers of the 3 major forces there. The leaders of our 3 forces have delivered a letter to you. I hope you will read it carefully." He handed the file bag to Zhang Yi, and he did not forget to remind, "By the way, there is also contact information on it. After you figure it out, send an email to this address." Zhang Yi smiled faintly, and as soon as he stretched out his hand, the mail disappeared into his different space. Seeing this, several strangers from Days City whistled. "Wow, it's actually a rare space-type ability. That's great." But the teasing and mocking expressions on their faces obviously didn't take Zhang Yi seriously. The bearded man continued to say to Zhang Yi, I will give you 1 day to make a decision. In other words, well, there are only 19 hours from now. After all, the time we came will be deducted. Zhang Yi didn't say a word, and the bearded man touched his forehead with 2 fingers. Then, goodbye. Good luck. A group of alien soldiers smiled and got into the car, then started the snowmobile and drove away rumblingly. Uncle Yu looked a little annoyed and approached Zhang Yi and said, why don't you kill them? These guys are too arrogant. Zhang Yi just said calmly, I'm not interested in miscellaneous fish. And if you shoot rashly, it will only make the enemy take precautions against us. Let's see what they say first. Zhang Yi watched the strangers in Days City leave before turning around and walking towards the shelter. Uncle Yu took a deep breath and looked at Zhang Yi's back with deep admiration in his eyes. He is only in his 20s and he can maintain such calmness and tolerance when encountering things. It is really rare. Liang Yu jokingly said, isn't there a common saying? A dog that bites doesn't bark. Zhang Yi's voice suddenly came from a distance. Don't think that I can't hear what you are saying if I walk far away. Liang Yu was so frightened that she quickly covered her mouth. I'm not speaking ill of you behind your back. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and looked back at her who was walking towards him. It would be even more exaggerated to say it in front of my face. Liang Yu's face turned red. This is obviously a compliment, saying you are stable. I'll take it, as if you're praising me. Zhang Yi shook his head speechlessly. Even as a teacher, the way of complimenting others is so special. I almost forgot that she is a physical education teacher. After Zhang Yi returned to the shelter, he immediately asked Zhao Ke to go with him to the infirmary. Check the file bag first, and then open it, after confirming its safety. Safety awareness is a must, even if it is a powerful alien. It is easy to die. After returning to the shelter, Zhao Ke inspected and confirmed that there was nothing wrong with the file bag. Zhang Yi opened the file bag with tweezers and carefully took out the files inside. The only thing inside was a piece of paper, which was a handwritten letter to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi put the letter on the table, put on a tactical helmet, and leaned over to watch it. After reading the contents of the letter, a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. What is written in it is very simple. The general idea is that Sun Jianming, Chen Liangaiyu, and Gu Hongdi proposed a letter of intent to help them defend Qianhe City. Qianhe City has now experienced a tragic war with a large population loss, and several major local forces are unable to defend. The 3 major forces in Linhe City, as friendly neighbors, are willing to come to help in the spirit of humanitarianism. Please don't refuse. Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing, and the laughter became louder and louder. What a high-sounding reason. These people are really interesting. If you guessed correctly, they also worked in the unit before. Hearing Zhang Yi's laughter, Zhao Ke and others couldn't help coming over and asking him what happened. Zhang Yi asked everyone to come over and read the contents of the letter. I have to say, these guys are really smart. If this method is used, even if the Jiangnan region wants to blame them, they will have a reason to deal with it. Chapter 606 Prepare fragrant bait to catch turtlefish. After reading the letter, everyone had strange expressions on their faces, because they all feel very disgusting. Obviously they came here to seize the territory and resources of Qianhe City, but they came here under the banner of humanitarianism to help defend. Isn't this just wanting to be standing? Luke Karen was young, so he didn't understand this kind of thing. He just felt very angry. It's better for them to come to Ming to rob them. It's better to be bandits directly. Why bother to disgust us? Everyone looked at each other and smiled, shaking their heads helplessly. Of course, a little girl like Luke Karen who has no experience in the world doesn't understand the routines. Zhao Keller explained to her, everyone knows some things, but the superficial work still needs to be done. For example, according to what they said, they are only here to assist in the defense. Then the assistance in defense can't be wasted, right? There needs to be an area where troops are stationed, and they need to be provided with the supplies they need for life. Luke Karen rolled his eyes. Then if we don't give it, they still have to grab it? How will we explain it then? Zhao Ke laughed and said, then they will say that we are not moral first, and their people have no choice but to do it. At worst, they have finished robbing the supplies, and they will just apologize. If we can't bear it, we attack them. They will fight us justifiably and say they are self-defense. They thought they could secure Cheyenne City, and as long as the matter ended quickly, they would use the above reasons to explain to the Jiangnan district. When the dust settles, the Jiangnan district will be busy dealing with the rogue incident in Linhai City again, so we can only turn a blind eye and recognize their management rights in Cheyenne City. After Lu Karen finished listening, his face turned red with anger. Doesn't it mean that they are obviously robbers, but they can still call themselves good people? On the contrary, what we did was wrong. Zhang Yi said lightly, it was just an excuse. Whoever wins is right. Give the Jiangnan district a step up, so that the Jiangnan district will not be slapped in the face. When the Superpower Federation was first established, the Jiangnan district can only acquiesce. You don't need to pay attention to these things. It's just a very simple language art. The simple understanding is that the three major organizations in Day City demand Zhang Yi and the others to surrender unconditionally. In that case, part of the living space and supplies can be reserved for Zhang Yi and the others. Liang Yu looked at Zhang Yi. Her gaze was as sharp as a knife's edge, and she was also angered by the shamelessness of the alien forces in Day City. Zhang Yi, fight them. Yes, let's fight. Teach them a lesson. These shameless guys look down on us. We must teach them a lesson. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation. Zhang Yi nodded. Fighting is of course necessary, but the question is how to fight. The three major alien forces in Day City may not be inferior to the previous major Al-Qaeda organizations in terms of strength. If we reject their proposal, they will understand that if we want to fight them to the end, we must be prepared. So, it's better to numb them first and pretend to agree to their suggestion. Yang Xingxin smiled and said, brother, I understand. You want to make them paralyzed and then lure them into our trap. The last trick is to catch the turtle in the urn, right? Zhang Yi nodded approvingly. Yang Xingxin can always guess his mind. To achieve this victory with minimal cost, this is what we have to do. Uncle Yu said. Zhang Yi, what are we going to do? You can arrange it. Zhang Yi thought for a while and said, call Zhao Hanglian and the others over here. We are all in the same group now, and they need to be involved in this matter. The total number of aliens from the three major forces is still considerable, so they must be used. As for the battle plan, Zhang Yi already had a prototype in his mind. After the conflict with Day City, he was already thinking about how to get rid of these guys. There are at least 3 plans in his mind, but the current situation is what he wants most. The next step is to make a game and let these self-righteous guys fall into the trap. Soon, Zhao Hanglian, Crossing Cheyenne and Chen Jingwen all came to Zhang Yi's shelter. This is the first time they have entered Zhang Yi's shelter. Seeing this magnificent house and feeling the heavenly living environment inside, they were extremely envious. Zhang Yi entertained them in the living room, enthusiastically asked them to sit down, and then Zhao Ke poured tea for them. Zhao Hanglian seemed to have noticed something and asked eagerly, Zhang Yi, is there any movement by the alien forces in Day City? As soon as these words came out, Chen Jingwen and Crossing Cheyenne also put down the teacups in their hands, and their expressions became tense. Zhang Yi glanced at them and said lightly, you guessed it, it is indeed about them. He briefly explained the news sent by the 3 major forces in Day City to them. After the 3 of them listened, the expressions on their faces were startled and angry. Today, they don't have the capital to compete with the 3 major forces in Day City. Chen Jingwen swallowed his saliva and said to Zhang Yi in a pleading tone, boss, you won't leave us alone, will you? Zhao Hanglian coughed and said with a reddish face, boss, you have to help us come up with an idea on this matter. Zhang Yi. He took a deep look at Zhao Hanglian. This woman is really real, and she changed her mind very quickly at critical moments. He took a sip of hot tea unhurriedly. I've already made up my mind about this matter, and there's not much you need to do. You just need to cooperate with my actions. Indeed, with the strength of the 3 major Al-Qaeda organizations, their role in this operation is only a supporting role. What's more, it's how Zhang Yi does it himself. The first thing to do is to paralyze the other party. Let them be negligent. We pretended to compromise and lured them to Cheyenne City first. As for how to do it later, I will tell you at that time. In short, we must take precautions and cooperate with me in acting. Zhang Yi didn't reveal much about the plan to them. The three Al-Qaeda had just been accepted, and Zhang Yi couldn't guarantee their loyalty, so he still had some reservations. The heads of the three families, who can no longer be called the leaders, listened quietly and expressed that they would resolutely follow Zhang Yi's orders. However, they still looked a little worried and repeatedly confirmed to Zhang Yi that if something happened, Zhang Yi would protect them. Zhang Yi could understand their feelings, so he made an exception and gave many verbal promises. In the past, he would have sneered at any verbal promises, but now the three bases are in jeopardy, and they will hold on to any slightest possibility of protecting themselves, like a life-saving straw. Zhang Yi could understand their feelings. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 607 Information Acquisition. The three forces in Days City are here. After sending the letter to Zhang Yi, they were waiting for Zhang Yi's reply. But it doesn't matter if Zhang Yi doesn't reply to them. They have assembled their troops and are ready to set out to occupy the major resource points in Xianhe City at any time. However, they still received an email from Zhang Yi not long after. Since the mailbox left for Zhang Yi is shared by the three families, they can all see the email from Zhang Yi. Respectfully, the three major forces in Days City. I received a letter from Your Excellency today, and the intention in the words to plot the resources of our Xianhe City territory is ready to come out. On behalf of the major forces in Xianhe City, I firmly oppose this approach. We have the ability to protect our own homeland without the intervention of external forces. I hope you can restrain yourself and don't use weapons rashly. Otherwise, we will report to the Jiangnan regional headquarters and let them decide the matter. If you can be good neighbors, we can share some of our resources as a gesture of friendship. Xianhe City, Zhang Yi. After reading this email, Sun Jianming and the others were about to smile crookedly. Ha 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 ha. Was this email written by Zhang Yi? It made me laugh so hard. Obviously I'm scared to death in my heart, but I still want to save face. Do you really think that you can scare us by taking out the Jiangnan region? In the email, the appearance of being afraid and pretending is really unbearable. Sun Jianming's contempt for Zhang Yi became more serious. Such a guy, as long as he scares him again, he will definitely compromise. Chen Liangai and Gu Hongdi's reaction after seeing the email was similar to that of Sun Jianming. Gu Hongdi covered her belly with a smile and didn't straighten up for a long time. Ha ha ha, this little brother is really cute. It's decided, let him be my little brother after we take over Xianhe City. Tell me jokes. Gu Hongdi smiled flamboyantly, but there was a glimmer of light in her eyes. He better not be ignorant of flattery. After receiving the email, the three of them immediately started communicating in the group chat. Sun Jianming, have you seen Zhang Yi's reply message? Ha ha ha. Gu Hongdi, I laughed so hard, I'm in a rare good mood today. This younger brother is really cute. Sun Jianming, stop looking after cuteness. If he doesn't know how to flatter, let's take action. Gu Hongdi, I don't think there is any need for us to be anxious. If we can, try not to fight. Seeing how frightened he is, we can scare him again. There was a hint of deep meaning in Gu Hongdi's eyes, and then she typed, after all, it has been so long since the end of the world, and everyone who is still alive now doesn't want to die. Chen Liangai said just now, I also think we can talk to him again. Besides, is there a possibility that he is acting? Chen Liangai is an extremely cautious person. He will not conclude that Zhang Yi is weak and incompetent just because of one email. That kind of person cannot rule the roost in Xianhe City. However, they did have limited information about Xianhe City, let alone Zhang Yi's brilliant achievements. Sun Jianming frowned and then sneered. Chen Liangai, you are too cautious. Whether he is pretending or real, Xianhe City's weakness is well known. Our army is passing by, just sweep everything. Chen Liangai replied flatly, it's not that simple, we'd better talk to Zhang Yi again. if it can be resolved peacefully. No one wants to pay the price of bloodshed and sacrifice. Gu Hongdi looked at Chen Liangai's words and typed lightly with her fingers. Then talked to him again. Let him hand over his territory and resources obediently, and they can save their lives. People, as long as there is hope of living, they will not seek death. Let's not push people into a hurry. Both Chen Liangai and Gu Hongdi said that. Sun Jianming had no choice but to say, okay, let's talk to him again. But let him know that our patience is limited, and we don't have time to argue with him here. The three reached a consensus, and decided to communicate with Zhang Yi again. But just in the process of coming and going, Zhang Yi's top hacker Yang Xingxin has already broken through their organization's network firewall, and obtained all their information. Not every force has such a strong network security system. Qianhe City is one of the cities with the most developed information technology in Huaguo. At the beginning, there were some powerful programmers working in several major bases. But in Dae's city next door, due to the siphon effect of Qianhe City, such characters are relatively scarce. Yang Xingxin broke through their network firewall, just like passing through a wall made of spiderwebs, without any difficulty. Immediately, she brought information about the three major forces in Dae's city to Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi was in the living room, sitting cross-legged on the sofa with bare feet, wearing a set of warm yellow pajamas. There was a computer on his lap, and Yang Xingxin was sitting next to him, introducing him the information he had obtained. According to the current intelligence, the scale of these three forces is not small. Although they are not as good as the five major forces in Qianhe City in their heyday, the gap will not be too large. After all, the resident population of Dae's city is more than 800 million, and the supplies are relatively sufficient. They have room to develop their own strength. Zhang Yi swiped his fingers on the touchpad, carefully flipping through the specific combat information of the three major forces. The most interesting thing is that they not only have their own internal information, but also count the information of the other two. This allowed Zhang Yi to gain a lot. After all, no one would clearly record the abilities and weaknesses of their leader in their own database. Sun Jianming, a person with the ability to strengthen. The ability is called Dark Force. It has the effect of piercing armor and penetrating the body. Once in close combat, even wearing heavy armor will be injured by him. No wonder Chen Jingwen was hanged and beaten by him. They ignored his external defenses and went straight to the internal organs, completely restraining him. I said that Chen Jingwen is not such a waste, but if he is restrained, there is nothing he can do. Gu Hongdi, a spiritual ability user. The ability codename, Crimson Kiss, can confuse the mind and make people completely become their own puppets. And, it is the kind of love from the heart. Zhang Yi couldn't help but gasped. This ability is perverted enough. The other party clearly knew that he had been tricked, but because of love he couldn't extricate himself. He would still sink. No wonder, Zhang Yi remembered that Gu Hongdi had the most subordinates. This kind of strong control allows her to have a large number of subordinates, which can be called a weakened version of Yuan Kangai. Hey, here also records the weakness of her ability. There is a distance limit for the activation of Crimson Kiss, and it must be within 100 meters, and the closer the distance, the stronger the effect. If you kiss directly, even aliens at the Delta level will fall. Good guy, this Gu Hongdi used to be a professional technician. Chapter 608. Zhang Yi carefully checked their abilities. The leaders of the three major forces are all aliens at the Delta level, and their abilities are also very abnormal. It's just that, no matter how abnormal the ability is, it has its weaknesses. Even Zhang Yi, according to the strength of his abilities, has reached the peak of the Delta level, and there is still the possibility of being attacked in close quarters. Therefore, Zhang Yi will always be cautious and never underestimate any enemy. Chen Liangaiu, an orc-type ability user, ability codename Jaguar. It has a running speed close to the speed of sound, and a fierce hunter's instinct to prey. Zhang Yi calmly read the introduction of each alien from the three major forces, and had a rough assessment of their strength in his heart. Not as good as the five major forces in Qianhe City in its heyday, but they are still very strong. In terms of weapons and equipment, there is nothing to mention, and it is not as far away as the Zishan base. Presumably they came to invade Qianhe City, and it is impossible for them to carry a large number of thermal weapons. In this case, at least, percent of their strength will be weakened first. Zhang Yi calculated carefully in his mind, not missing any details. At this moment, a reminder came from his mailbox. A bright light flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes, knowing that this was Days City's response. He reached for his email to check it. The content of the email is scanned in less than 1 minute. Still using that hypocritical rhetoric to express their tough attitude. Qianhe City is an important city on the southeast coast, so it must not be lost point this is not a problem of your few forces, but a problem of the entire Jiangnan region, and even the entire Huago. So the defense of the 3 major forces in Days City is necessary. Please focus on the overall situation. If you insist on resisting, we can only take strong measures. It would be bad if there was some friction or casualties. I still hope to think carefully. One last sentence. We are already on our way. We will meet in Qianhe City soon. Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly after reading the email, with a playful smile on the corner of his mouth. He sent that email for one purpose only, to pretend. Let the people of Days City underestimate their strength. If he surrendered directly, the group of people in Days City will be suspicious instead. Zhang Yi sat down to drink tea and watch the show without rushing, and after waiting for half an hour, he sent another email to the other party. It's not impossible for you to come to help defend. Our defense is indeed a little weak now. A part of the area can be allocated to you, but you cannot move our current base. After the mail was seen by the leaders of the 3 major forces in Days City, they laughed secretly. Zhang Yi's actions have revealed that they are unable to compete with Days City. He even agreed to cede the territory, which shows his weakness and cowardice. Cut a city today, cut a land tomorrow, and soon the 3 major forces will swallow Qianhe City completely. At that time, even Zhang Yi and the 3 Al-Qaeda organizations will have to eat them all. After all, what they have in their hands is the core resource. Supplies, weapons, and strangers. The leaders of the 3 factions gathered together to discuss again. Sun Jianming, he has softened his tone. It seems that we can take Qianhe City without a single soldier. What should I say? Gu Hongdi, then what are you waiting for? It's not too late. Let's lead our troops there quickly, and first occupy a few of their important resource areas. Then slowly eat away at them. Chen Liangayu said, it's not good. They still have some troops in their hands. I think it's better to let them disarm and surrender, so that we can be completely safe. Gu Hongdi smiled and said, Chen Liangayu, are you too impatient? Let them hand over their weapons and surrender, and they may risk their lives with us. Although we are not afraid of their little strength, it is not good to lose troops and generals in a fight. Sun Jianming also said, although there are not many aliens who survived, they are also elites. There is no need to drive them to a dead end. Chen Liangayu frowned. I just think that they will not give up their land and resources so willingly. Only when they completely lose their resistance can I feel at ease. Sun Jianming said, of course they are not reconciled. But their strength is here, and they can't do it if they are not reconciled. Gu Hongdi persuaded, it's better to be a human being and stay on the front line. Qianhe City is so big, divide a barren area for them and let them live. Sun Jianming said, I think it's a good idea. Chen Liangayu said, okay, but we have to beware of their counterattack. Gu Hongdi said with a smile, then bring our elite. In the face of absolute strength, all conspiracies are just jokes. The 3 of them discussed and decided to take the most elite aliens from the headquarters to Qianhe City. This matter must not be delayed, lest the Jiangnan region find out. There may be trouble. When they arrive in Qianhe City, they will naturally be able to oppress Zhang Yi and the others by using powerful force, and make them surrender their territories and resources. The 3 families reached a consensus and immediately went to organize the staff to set off. Of course, they didn't respond to Zhang Yi, lest Zhang Yi ambush them in advance. Although they think that their strength is absolutely strong, there is no need to take risks. But there is one thing that they didn't expect at all, that all the conversations between them were clearly monitored by Yang Xingxin. So Zhang Yi knew their plan. Zhang Yi slowly stood up from the sofa and sent a message to the leaders of the 3 major bases with cold eyes. Ready for action. In a world of ice and snow, with a bitter westerly wind, a convoy of aliens from Days City drove into the border of Qianhe City. Sun Jianming and others made up their minds, and the first step was to go directly to Zishan district, because there is Zhang Yi's base camp. Then they set up camp in Zishan district to intimidate Zhang Yi and force Zhang Yi to bow to them. But they don't know that Zhang Yi has a clear insight into all their movements. There is a landmark building in Zishan district, Sanqi Pagoda. This used to be the Xianhe City radio station. The tower is 52 meters high and can be clearly seen from a long distance. Even if the end of the world comes, it still stands in the white snow. On the way from Days City to Zishan Mountain, you must pass here, because without satellite navigation, people are always the easiest to choose the same conspicuous landmark as a reference. The motorcade from Days City rumbled towards Sanqi Pagoda. A total of 50 chariots, a total of 800 elite fighters, and 72 aliens from the three major forces. 80% of the combat power of the entire Days City was mobilized. 3 powerful Delta-level alien leaders lead the team. This time they will fight to determine the fate and take down Xianhe City, which is rich in supplies. They don't even have to worry about the problem of falling behind, because after taking Xianhe City, they can move their base camp here. Xianhe City is vaster and richer than Days City. Chapter 609 Condensing the Void. The convoy from Days City moved forward unhurriedly. They don't have the navigation system of Xianhe City. Although the Jiangnan region has granted certain authority to Xinga and to the forces in various regions, it is only limited to their own region. After all, ZHU Zheng didn't want to see fighting between cities. It would be harmful to the entire region. So the driver who led the way was a veteran in the transportation industry and was very familiar with the environment of Xianhe City. He can judge the direction by the building. From Days City to Zishan district, you must pass near the Sanqi Pagoda. On a white painted chariot in the middle of the convoy, Sun Jianming, Chen Liangyu, and Gu Handi looked at a map and began to discuss which barren area to drive Zhang Yi and other local forces to after taking Xianhe City, and how to divide the various important resource points in Xianhe City. Sun Jianming's hand directly touched the Chaoyu base. The Chaoyu port is mine. Our fleet can use this thing. Gu Handi unhurriedly pointed to the Yangsheng base. I want the refinery of the Yangsheng base. Chen Liangyu folded his arms with an indifferent expression and pointed to the steel-making plant at the Qingpu base. A curious look suddenly flashed in Sun Jianming's eyes. Speaking of which, that guy named Zhang Yi, where is his territory? Chen Liangyu and Gu Handi also had bright eyes. They are also very curious. Although no one said anything, everyone knew that Zhang Yi was the leader of the most powerful force in Xianhe City, and the area he occupied should also be the best. But after the apocalypse, the intelligence between the various regions has been cut off. They were all busy fighting for territory in their own cities, so how could they care about other cities? Sun Jianming suddenly grinned and said, when the time comes, call the person surnamed Zhang and take us to have a look. Anyway, he will have to give up that place at that time. Makes sense. Both Gu Handi and Chen Liangyu nodded. With smiles on their faces, they had long regarded everything belonging to the major forces in Xianhe City as their own. At this moment, Gu Handi glimpsed a tall light and shadow outside the window from the corner of her eyes. She turned her head and took a look and saw a white tower standing a few hundred meters away from them. The tower was covered with white snow and it looked silent and mysterious. 3-7 pagodas, Gu Handi murmured. Then she turned around and continued to discuss the follow-up plan with Sun Jianming and Chen Liangyu. The night was dark. If it was daylight, maybe she could see the very dark light and shadow on the top of the tower. When the convoy passed near the Sanqi Tower, Zhang Yi was on the top of the tower, looking down at everything below with indifference. In his heart, he silently calculated the distance between himself and the team. When the convoy was only 500 meters away from the Sanqi Tower, Zhang Yi could clearly see them in the tactical eyepiece. He slowly opened his right hand, and a very dark spark suddenly appeared in his palm, beating like black lightning. Condensing the void. The power of the dark space, which was as black as ink, expanded rapidly, beating erratically like lightning, almost out of control. Zhang Yi shook his palm, and the dark force of the void spread out, turning into a nearly 2-meter long void spear. After Zhang Yi absorbed Yuan Kangai's incomplete source, he awakened the strongest ultimate move, condensing the void, the spear of destruction. This is the first time he used it against an enemy. Zhang Yi stared coldly at the passing convoy, and the ability of precise shooting locked the area in the center of the convoy. Then he raised the void spear high, pointed it over there, and threw it forcefully. Call out, through the void. In an instant, the black spear disappeared before Zhang Yi's eyes, and shot at the convoy. In Daze City, with the help of the endless night, the world is still silent, and snowflakes are falling. However, a second later, a huge dark sphere appeared on the ground centered on the inhuman convoy in Daze City. The dark sphere enveloped the space with a radius of 1 kilometer, silently, as if it existed in that direction. Most of the vehicles in the entire convoy were covered, with less than 10 vehicles outside the range. Even when the car behind was not covered and hit, it disappeared without a sound. Laugh. The driver of the car behind hurriedly stepped on the brakes, seeing the huge black sphere suddenly appearing in front of him, with a look of extreme fear in his eyes. He felt the crisis of death. What is this? Above the Sanki Pagoda, Zhang Yi's eyes suddenly froze, looking at an after image running wildly away on the snowy ground. But he ignored it, and just said lightly using the communication device, "Close the network." He paused for less than a second, and added another sentence. "Don't leave a single one alive." The convoy was in disarray at this time. The huge black sphere that suddenly appeared swallowed almost the entire convoy. On the few cars that were not covered by luck, the aliens in Daze City hurriedly contacted the engulfed aliens. Unfortunately, they didn't get any reply. The scene was in a panic, and they didn't know what they had encountered. But soon, the black sphere disappeared, and everything that was swallowed left nothing behind. Only a hemispherical huge smooth pothole was formed on the ground. Cars, people, not even a speck of dust remains. The terrifying scene in front of them made the experienced soldiers sweat profusely, and their faces were frighteningly pale. A strange person fell to the ground in horror, yelled out as if he saw a devil, and then ran to the distance like crazy. But at this moment, in the distant snowfield, strangers from Xianhe City appeared in all directions. The aliens from the 3 major bases and the people from Zhang Yi's team guarded one direction respectively. This time, no one will be left alive, because Zhang Yi does not allow anyone to spread his strength. Zhao Hanglian, Crossing Xian, Chen Jingwen and others didn't know what Zhang Yi's plan was at first. They are still struggling with how to defeat the aliens in Daze City, who are several times their number. But when that huge black ball appeared, they suddenly understood one thing. It turned out that an insurmountable gap had long been formed between them and Zhang Yi, and they no longer existed in the same world. Kill. Obey the leader's order. Kill them all. Leave no one behind. Chen Jingwen pulled out the gun on his waist and rushed towards the alien from Daze City who was fleeing in his direction. At this time, Zhang Yi's face was a little pale. For him, the spear of dimension was also extremely costly. He had to swallow a large amount of supernatural food immediately to replenish the supernatural energy. Then, he took a step forward, traveled through the space through the double-dimensional gate, and came to the place swallowed by the void. Almost everything was devoured clean. But deep in the spherical depression, there is a horrible body lying there. At this time, he could no longer see his appearance clearly, because his body was covered in blood, and his skin no longer existed. But to be able to survive under Zhang Yi's ultimate move, he is obviously a very powerful reinforcement system expert. One of the leaders of the 3 major forces in Daze City, Sun Jianming, has a Delta-level presence in the strengthening system. Zhang Yi walked towards him slowly, and with his right hand, he took out the holy judge with a horizontal knife, made of Edmund metal. Don't pretend to be dead. Can you fool me? Chapter 610 The Lion Fights the Rabbit. The Spear of the Void is a new skill that Zhang Yi acquired after devouring Yuan Kangai's incomplete source. Compared with Shenwei, its release skills are farther and cover a larger area, which makes up for Zhang Yi's lack of early attack ability and insufficient long-range attack strength. However, when encountering powerful reinforcement type or orc type aliens, they may not be able to kill them in one blow. For example, an elite Delta level alien like Sun Jianming. Zhang Yi held the Holy Judge, defended himself with a dimensional shield in his left hand, and walked towards Sun Jianming step by step, cutting the weeds, and eradicating the roots. Zhang Yi has always adhered to the principle that, if no one offends me, I will not offend others. Today's monks in Days City, he will not stay. Sun Jianming's bloody body twitched on the ground. Zhang Yi's cautious appearance is actually a bit redundant for him. Because just now, he erupted with all his strength instinctively, so that he was not completely crushed by the power of the void like everyone else. But his bones were almost completely broken, and his internal organs were so damaged that he couldn't even get up. Sun Jianming's heart was extremely fearful, and at the same time extremely confused, and when he was on the verge of life and death, all these emotions turned into anger. That's right, anger. Why do you pretend to be weak, when you are so strong? If you had told us earlier, how dare we come to trouble you? Sun Jianming raised his neck with difficulty, and stared at Zhang Yi viciously. At the last moment of his life, he let out his own roar from his throat. Why? Zhang Yi stopped 100 meters away from him. Then he opened the gate of the dimension casually, and raised the holy judge in his right hand, as if he was adjusting the position of the knife. Why are there so many? Zhang Yi said calmly, and pierced through the gate of dimension with one knife, piercing through Sun Jianming's head. It's just that you are too good at it. So far, Days City's alien team that invaded Xianhei City has already killed % of the aliens in the middle, including 2 Delta-level alien leaders. Zhang Yi had no expression on his face. Everything went as smoothly as he thought. The difference in strength between a high-level alien and a low-rank alien is completely crushed. His feeling at this time was very similar to that of Bian Junwu who first arrived in Xianhei City. Even if he is at the same Delta level, he crushes others like a fault. In another direction, a figure ran desperately on the snow, setting off a series of huge snow waves. That was Chen Liangyu, one of the leaders of the 3 major factions in Days City. As a beastman with abilities, his transformation is Jaguar. Out of the Orc's hunter instinct, he had already sensed the crisis of death the moment Zhang Yi condensed the void. In just 1 second, he had already escaped from the coverage of the void spear. Looking back at the huge dark space, Chen Liangyu's heart shuddered. Is this still a Delta-level alien? I'm afraid the investigation leader of Blizzard City is nothing more than that. What kind of monster have we provoked? Escape. You must escape immediately, otherwise you will definitely die. Chen Liangyu didn't care about anything. In the face of life and death crisis, everything can be abandoned. However, on his way forward, a huge wall of fire suddenly blocked his way. The sky was covered with flames covering the sky and the sun, and there was a strong smell of alcohol in the air. This is? Chen Liangyu was forced to stop by the flames. He raised his head and saw 2 strangers standing in front of him. A woman with magma runes flowing all over her body, but her eyes were as indifferent as a knife, was holding a huge wine gourd and looking at him. Behind her, there was a man with a feminine face, squinting his eyes and smiling. Zhao Honglian, the person in charge of the Yangsheng base, and his deputy Zhu Qingting waited here for a long time. Zhang Yi didn't go after the others, because the rest of the miscellaneous fish had already been frightened out of their nerves, and he didn't need to make any more effort. After absorbing Sun Jianming's origin, he went back to the Sanqi Pagoda, took out a chair and sat down, resting while waiting for other people's news. Half an hour later, people came here one after another, each holding different numbers of heads in their hands. Red ice and snow formed on their bodies, which was formed after the blood water froze. But everyone had a smile on their face. Because this time Days City sent all elites, many of whom were aliens. After killing them, with Zhang Yi's acquiescence, the strangers in Xianhei City devoured their origin. In this wave, except for some of the aliens who were wiped out by Zhang Yi without even leaving ashes, the other aliens have made up for the aliens in Xianhei City. Especially Huahua and Liangyu, who killed the most enemies, and gained the most in this battle. Zhao Honglian came up to Zhang Yi with her head held high, and put Chen Liangyu's head under his feet. This is the leader of one of the 3 major factions in Days City, Chen Liangyu. Zhao Honglian's face was full of pride. After all, beheading the leader of one faction was an extremely rare feat in the Jiangnan region. But in front of Zhang Yi, her attitude became more and more submissive, that kind of surrender from the heart. Before, she might still be a little reconciled. However, after tonight, this emotion completely disappeared. Because everyone has seen Zhang Yi's strength. That is an existence beyond their reach. Everyone bowed their heads in front of Zhang Yi, which was a kind of respect and submission from the heart. Zhang Yi turned to look at Liang Yu. Liang Yu wore grey deerskin gloves in both hands, holding a long knife, with a cold face. Take account of the number of people, and see if it matches what Xingxin said. Liang Yu couldn't help but said, I'm afraid this is a bit difficult. After all, most people have been killed by you, and there are no scum left. Zhang Yi laughed dumbfounded. It's true. Immediately, his face became serious, but tonight, don't relax. As I said, none of the aliens who attacked Day City can be left behind. In addition, no one is allowed to reveal a word to the outside world about what happened tonight. Even if Blizzard City asks, just let them come to me. Do you understand? His strength and ability may be revealed sooner or later. But the later that day comes, the better. Because one day later, he would have one more chance to kill his opponent through the information gap. Moreover, exposing his strength prematurely will also cause him to be targeted by the Jiangnan region. Chen Jingwen was the first to stand up, straightened his back and said, yes, we will strictly abide by what the boss asks, and we will never violate it. Crossing Cheyenne also hurriedly said, me too. Zhao Hanglian gritted his teeth angrily when he saw that he was being preempted. Does this need to be said? My whole body is already the boss's. If anyone dares not to listen to the boss, I, Zhao Hanglian, will be the first to not let him go. As soon as these words came out, everyone on the scene looked at Zhao Hanglian with strange eyes, and then their eyes moved back and forth between her and Zhang Yi. It was only then that Zhao Hanglian realized that what he said in a hurry was somewhat ambiguous, and Zhang Yi was also a little speechless. Ahem, I mean. Zhang Yi waved his hand. Okay, everyone understands what you mean. At this time, the more you explain, the more troublesome you will be. Chapter 611. The alien team in Day City never expected that they would come to Cheyenne City with the confidence of winning and planned to search for it. But not only did they gain nothing, they even lost their lives here. Zhang Yi ordered everyone to get rid of the evil and must kill all the enemies who will commit crimes in the future. Prevent them from spreading Zhang Yi's true strength and causing trouble for Zhang Yi. And such an easy victory in this battle also made the hearts of Cheyenne City more cohesive, and everyone in the three major bases was convinced by Zhang Yi. Crossing Cheyenne asked at this time, if the Jiangnan region asks, how should we answer? How else can I answer? Just say that with the concerted efforts of all the forces in our Cheyenne City, all the invading enemies have been wiped out. Zhang Yi smiled. Crossing Cheyenne scratched his head. I'm worried that they will be suspicious. After all, judging from the strength on paper, we can't win so easily. Zhang Yi shook his head. These things don't need to be made too clear to them. We are victims and there is nothing wrong with fighting back in self-defense. When the Jiangnan district formed the Superpower Federation, it announced this in public. And we have their letters proving they were the first to strike. Why should the victim have to explain? As for why we won so easily, it's easier to explain. The battlefield is changing rapidly, and nothing unexpected happens. Let them guess for themselves. Anyway, the attention of the Jiangnan region is now on Linhai City, and there is no time to care about what happened here. Zhang Yi is not afraid of accidents. Everyone took the lead and went to search the surrounding area carefully to prevent any fish from slipping through the net. In fact, this practice is entirely out of insurance, and it doesn't make much sense. Because of the aliens in Day City, those who were strong were basically killed by Zhang Yi with one move. The remaining ones were scared out of their wits, and were slaughtered one by the strangers in Cheyenne City. In the end, Zhang Yi asked Fatty Zhu to use the accumulated snow to fill up the huge pothole he created. The scene was as quiet as before, and there was not even a trace of blood left on the white snow. As if nothing had happened. Just as the war in Cheyenne City ended, a more dangerous and massive war also kicked off in Linhai City not far away. This war is under the unified command of the Jiangnan Region Combat Command Center. A total of 10 alien organizations were dispatched, and their headquarters provided all-round assistance. The most important thing is Huago's nebula system, which can guide them on the way and monitor the movement of Erosion Moon from the universe. At this time, in a shopping mall building, 13 people who eclipsed the moon were enjoying food in a warehouse. Beside the open door lay 2 corpses. Their blood was still steaming, but it cooled down quickly. These 2 people are a couple. After the end of the world, they occupied this warehouse and lived until now. Originally, they thought they could survive until the end of the doomsday, but they never expected that they would fall under the knife of a foreigner. Wearing a grey newsboy cap and a tight grey vest, the man picked from the shelves and found a can of beef with a happy smile on his face. He only exerted a little force with his right hand, and a flame rose up, melting the frost on the surface of the can. Boom. The can was heated and popped open when he squeezed it hard. The newsboy hat didn't eat it by himself, but turned around and handed it to the girl in the thick red winter clothes behind her. Then, one by one, he threw the cans to other people in the house. A stern, lazy samurai, a gangster holding a black metal baseball bat, a gentlemanly middle-aged man with glasses, a serious face and a big back. After everyone took the can, they all opened the can with their own means. A short-haired boy who looked like a high school student squatted on the ground with a smile and started to set up a pot to light a fire. While the short-haired boy was cooking, the middle-aged Jinguji Chichiro wearing gold-rimmed glasses looked at the newsboy cap and said in a hoarse voice, "We have killed so many people here, and the people from the Jiangnan region are about to arrive. Team leader, what do you think? It is very dangerous for us people to fight with them." The grey newsboy hat, that is, the leader of the Eclipse group, Feng Huangyuanren, just smiled easily when he heard this, but his smile always gave off a sinister feeling. He stretched out his hand and pointed at Jinguji. His movements were confident and public. "It's just in time. If we don't let them see the strength of our Eclipse team, how can they cooperate with us obediently?" Jinguji crossed his arms with a look of disgust. "You've always been like this. You like to take risks. Although you have Takuchi, the feeling of tightrope walking is really not good." Phoenix Academy smiled and walked to Mayumi Takuchi, the witch in the team, and sat on a cardboard box. "But right now, it's in our best interest, isn't it? Don't worry, the Jiangnan region can't use all its strength to deal with us. As far as I know, there are a lot of troubles in their region, enough for them to be overwhelmed. As long as we teach them a little painful lesson and let them understand that we are not easy to mess with, we will have a chance to negotiate." The Phoenix Academy smiled and stretched out its hand, making a small gesture with its thumb and index finger. "Just give them a little neon shock, that's enough." Jinguji pushed his glasses, feeling quite helpless at Phoenix Academy's adventurous spirit. He looked at Mayumi Takuchi, who was quietly eating canned beef next to Phoenixin. "Takuchi, let's start today's divination." Takuchi turned a deaf ear to it. Phoenix Academy smiled, reached out and touched her head. "Mayumi, let's start." Takuchi nodded obediently. She put down the can of beef in her hand and took off her gloves, revealing a pair of extremely white hands. Then she slowly inserted her right hand into her temple. The next moment, she actually took out a scroll from her head. This scene made everyone's eyes light up. Even the short-haired kid who was cooking was full of joy. "Here, come, I like watching Mayumi's divination the most." Mayumi Takuchi unfolded the scroll on the ground and then took out a bottle of red liquid from her bosom. Due to body temperature, the liquid does not freeze. She unscrewed the lid, and a faint smell of blood wafted into the air. Takuchi's right hand paused for a while in the air. A strange force began to condense in her palm and finally turned into a slender brush. It was like a long bamboo stick, with a naked kid at the end holding the bamboo and gnawing on it. Takuchi's expression became solemn, and her eyes began to be stained with a hazy color. Immediately, she stained the red fuel with the brush, and then wrote on the scroll extremely quickly. A moment later, the long scroll was filled with red words, and a strange glow emanated from the blood words. Chapter 612 Railgun. After the divination was over, Mayumi Takuchi put away the pen in her hand, but after doing all this, she looked a little weak. Some of the crowd hurriedly came over to look at the signature, and some pretended to be nonchalant, but their eyes still involuntarily glanced over here. As the boss, Feng Huangyuanren picked up the scroll and read it carefully. His eyes are getting brighter, and the curvature of the corners of his mouth is getting bigger and bigger. Their people are coming. And there are many people. Jinguji let out a tch with disgust on his face, and some of the other people had calm expressions, while others looked excited. The Phoenix Academy looked up at the crowd and began to assign tasks one by one. Long's and my wife, the two of you head southeast. The couple Takashi Takizawa and my wife Nanako nodded, grabbed their weapons, and left the warehouse. Nobunaga, you go to the west. The enemies there are for you. The samurai Tsukamoto Nobunaga looked lazy, didn't say anything, just took his samurai longsword and left silently. Dagonke, you go east. Where is your fortune today? 2 meters tall and as strong as a bear, the black-faced Dagongong Yangjin also walked out carrying a cello case. Based on the divination in the Takuchi picture scroll, Phoenix Academy assigned tasks to its subordinates. Soon, more than half of the people in the room were missing. The short-haired high school student named Fortimana Basatoru didn't notice these things, he just cooked his lunch with a smile. Phoenix Court came to him and squatted down. He took out a silver spoon from his arms, scooped a mouthful of soup into the pot, and put it into his mouth. Then he had a look of enjoyment on his face. It tastes really good. You can have a full meal again. It was not known whether he was referring to the food or the ensuing battle. Linhei City. Although the people from the Jiangnan regional headquarters did not come, they have already locked the area where the eclipse is located through satellite positioning. On the War Department's side, Minister Tu Yunli was personally in charge of directing the operations. However, it is said to be command, but it is actually more observation. Because the Jiangnan Super Energy Federation has just been established, the alien forces in the outer city will not fully obey their orders. According to the intelligence of the War Department, the 10 alien teams had already formed an encirclement circle from all directions and gradually began to tighten its southeast direction. The force here is the Peng Jialuo organization in Haing City. He brought 20 elite men with him on this trip. 6 of them were aliens with impressive strength. Among the remaining people, there are also elite players who are proficient in sniping, reconnaissance, and blasting. When their 10 forces acted, they had an agreement to encircle and suppress the eclipse from different directions. No one will be careless about the organization from Neon. After all, it is a powerful organization that wiped out all the forces in a city. However, no one thought their operation would fail. They occupy a favorable location and have satellite positioning guidance from the Jiangnan region. But the other party is in a foreign land, like a headless chicken. In terms of the number of people, they are dozens of times that of the Eclipse organization. Moreover, each organization is among the top in their respective city areas. Even if they use the number of people to pile up, they can pile up that organization to death. At least, Peng Jialuo thought so. Haing's alien organization braved the snow and marched forward cautiously. They keep in touch with other forces at any time and the communication equipment. I'm Peng Jialuo. We've arrived near the predetermined area. Soon there were other voices. We have also reached the edge of the predetermined area. We're almost there too. 3 minutes. Very well. After everyone arrives at the predetermined location, we will narrow the encirclement together. Don't underestimate the enemy and avoid acting without authorization. Hey, what's the point? No one is a daredevil who can live till now. Peng Jialuo ended the communication and did not rush to the target area. But just when he was going to ask the scouts to scout the surrounding terrain first, his pupils shrank suddenly because he saw a person walking slowly from the street in the city ahead. A man with slightly long hair and wearing a black combat uniform. Are you alone? Peng Jialuo was a little surprised and his nerves tensed up. He immediately ordered his men to prepare for battle. At the same time, he reported the incident on the communication channel. This is Peng Jialuo. We have encountered the enemy. There is only one person. Only one person? Don't they have 13 people? Be careful, maybe others are hiding in the dark. Look what he's up to. When Peng Jialuo was about to continue the communication, suddenly there was a piercing electric current, which made his ears hurt. Peng Jialuo frowned and was about to scold the street when he saw the man stop hundreds of meters away. He even put his left hand leisurely in his pocket, looking indifferently, but his right hand took out a coin and placed it between his thumb and index finger. A white lightning suddenly burst out from his body. That coin, as a shell turned into a super electromagnetic gun, pierced through the space and shot at everyone in Haing. The speed of the lightning was so fast that everyone didn't expect him to attack violently, and immediately a stranger was directly pierced through the chest. There was a big scorched hole in his chest, his eyes were full of disbelief, and he fell straight down. He dared to take the initiative to attack. Peng Jialuo never expected that they were hunters and the other party was the prey. But how dare the prey take the initiative to show its minions to the hunter? Damn neon man, kill him. No matter how good-tempered Peng Jialuo was, he couldn't stand the opponent who killed his men face to face. He let out a roar, and his whole body swelled up rapidly, and golden light enveloped his whole body. His muscles were swelling, his body was getting taller, and he suddenly turned into a golden Buddha over 4 meters high. Haeing City Giant Buddha Core, King Kong is not bad. Peng Jialuo. Although they were caught off guard, they clearly had an advantage in numbers. In addition, with Peng Jialuo at the Delta level sitting in charge, he was not afraid of Takashi Takezawa who came alone. The advantage is mine, Peng Jialuo and others thought. Just as the group activated their abilities and planned to kill Takashi Takezawa, a melodious music suddenly came from a distance. The voice is deep and thick, somewhat similar to the sound of a flute. The sound drifted across the concrete buildings of the city and came to the crowd of strangers in Haeing City. The scene in front of everyone's eyes has undergone a strange distortion. The light began to become mixed, as if there were countless colorful butterflies flying in front of the eyes, and the whole world became distorted. Their heads became dizzy, and their hands and feet didn't know where to put them. Peng Jialuo yelled angrily, "It's an ability user of the spiritual system. Plug your ears." But the moment the music sounded, Takashi Takezawa raised his hands, with 8 coins between his fingers, and pointed in this direction. The super electromagnetic gun aroused frantic silver lightning in the air, and the surging current followed the injection of the coin, drawing 8 silver lightning trails in the air. Chapter 613, Tide Tiger. The encounter on Peng Jialuo's side has attracted the attention of other 9 forces. The strangers in Haeing City were attacked. They are really unlucky. It looks like someone is going to break out from them. Shall we go to support? Someone asked in the communication channel. The call fell silent for a while. After a long time, a person said faintly, "Why don't we go and have a look?" But no one responded to his words. The rewards for this mission are very generous, and even the one with the most credit can win the entire Linhai City. There are only so many rewards, but there are 10 participating forces, and there is a naked competition between them. If Peng Jialuo's people can fight to the death with the Eclipse group, and consume part of the power of the Eclipse group, it will definitely be good news for others. However, soon their thoughts changed. In Yunzhou City, the team led by Li Xianlong is still on standby, hesitating when to go to support Peng Jialuo. Very abruptly, there was a sound of breaking through the sky. Li Xianlong raised his head fiercely and saw a shadow rushing down from the high-rise building where they were hiding. The silver knife light flashed in the air, illuminating the hazy area. Nobunaga Tsukamoto sprinted a few times among the crowd, and before everyone could react, 5 people had already been hacked to pieces. Li Xianlong was stunned. How is it possible? What surprised him was not the strength of the samurai, but the actions of the other party, as if he knew they were here. However, they obviously have satellite support from the Jiangnan region, so the intelligence is ahead of the other party, right? Why on earth would they be found by the other party first? Not only them, just a few minutes later, almost every alien force was attacked by the eclipse. They obviously hid well, and they were preparing to sprint collectively at a signal. But every step they made seemed to be seen through by the other party, which instead made them fall into a passive state. In the combat command center of the Jiangnan regional headquarters, 2 Yunli's eagle-like sharp eyes were fixed on the screen. Through the communicator, carried by the top 10 alien organizations, he can see these pictures. Even he didn't expect that they would be beaten first. How did this happen? Could it be that we leaked the news? But right away, 2 Yunli denied this idea. Impossible. The only place that can accurately determine the position of each faction is the headquarters. His eyes wandered around the combat center, scanning every staff member on the scene. Then he shook his head, denying the idea again. The security level of the command center is the highest. Every message sent here will be intercepted, and no one can pass information to them beyond the security network. Then, it should be some kind of ability. A detection type ability? Can it cover such a large area? Tu Yundler's eyes became sharper, and he suddenly felt that this incident was getting a little tricky. The battle for Lanhei City has already begun. The sudden situation caught everyone by surprise. The top 10 forces were a little flustered at the beginning, and they lost part of their combat power due to the surprise attack. But after all, they are also powerful to dominate one side. Soon they stabilized their position, especially when they found out that they were not the entire Eclipse group, but only 1 or 2 people. They also began to feel relieved. Especially in the east of the city, the 2 teams of Li Guoqiang from Bacheng and Meng Shuchen from Xiang jointly confronted the enemy. Their opponent was only a man in a suit, as strong as a bear, and carrying a cello case. Just one person? Li Guoqiang frowned. He wondered if there was something wrong with these neon people. Didn't you see that the 2 on his side add up to 4 no 50 people? Just relying on him alone, it's almost as good as sending him to death. Kill. Li Guoqiang didn't talk nonsense. There was no possibility of peace talks between the 2 sides, and he couldn't understand what the other party was saying. Immediately, 10 sharpshooters lined up, holding sniper rifles, aiming at Dagon Yanjin and starting shooting. And the bullets used are all high energy bullets specially approved for them by the Jiangnan region this time. Dagongze Yanjin watched the bullets they fired, but he didn't have the slightest intention to dodge. Instead, he took off his suit silently, and then reached out to open the cello case. Crackling. The bullet landed on him, tearing his clothes, but not his skin. Instead, it revealed the strong muscles that were forged from black steel inside. It turned out to be an alien from the enhancement department. Meng Shuchen said lightly. High energy bullets are more powerful than armor piercing bullets, and even if a stranger is shot, there is a danger of death. But among the aliens, the strengthening system is a pure monster. Their abilities are not fancy, they simply strengthen their basic physical abilities. Because that is a physical variation, let their physical bodies reach the level of chariots and even fortresses, immune to bullets and even small thermal weapons. Li Guoqiang looked at Meng Shuchen with a teasing smile on the corner of his mouth. Isn't it just right to strengthen the aliens? Under Meng Shuchen's long hair, his narrow eyes were full of smiles. It's just right. Because both of them are powerful aliens of the reinforcement system. Coupled with many subordinates, more than 50 people against 1 person, how can this be lost? But at this time, Dagongze Yanjin had already taken out something from the cello box. It was a strangely shaped spear, which was more than 3 meters long when assembled, but the tip of the spear was flat, like the wings of a dragonfly. Dagon Yan'an held the dragonfly cut, looked at the aliens from the 2 factions, and muttered in neon language. Mayuma's prophecy is true. Meng Shuchen and Li Guoqiang have already activated their abilities. Meng Shuchen's body was shrouded in a hazy black light, and his long hair spread rapidly, even covering his body. Every strand of black hair shone with a sharp light, and each strand of hair was sharper than the sharpest knife, capable of cutting gold and breaking jade. And Li Guoqiang took out 2 heavy black iron crutches from behind, and put the crutches in front of him, defending well first, and then ready to attack at any time. Come on, kill him. Dozens of aliens quickly surrounded Dagongze Yanjin. All kinds of memes began to greet him, and the 2 leader level aliens acted as the main attackers, attacking him one after the other. But facing the impenetrable attack, the Iron Tower in the middle just waved the dragonfly cut in his hand indifferently. A hurricane began to howl, covering his whole body. After the hurricane subsided, he suddenly turned into a 3-meter tall, peerless monster with long hair and yellow-brown markings. Dagongze Yanjin beast type ability user, mythical monster Cheohu. Holding a giant dragonfly in his hand, his brown vertical pupils swept across all the strangers around him. For Li Guoqiang and Meng Shuchen who attacked from 2 directions, he just made a simple horizontal cut, drawing a circle with himself as the center. The cyan blue knife light swept across the air, forming a beautiful arc. 2 powerful Delta level enhanced aliens suddenly split into 2 on the way forward, directly separating from the waist above and the lower body. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. we cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 614. In the battle between different people, after the absolute difference in level, the number of people can no longer make up. The leaders of the two major forces, Li Guoqiang and Meng Shuqing, did not expect that their bodies, which have been tempered through thousands of years, would not be able to block Dagon Yanjin's casual knife. It can't even be said to block, because they didn't even have time to react, and they were already cut in half. In the world of martial arts, nothing is invincible, only fast is invincible. It wasn't until their bodies fell to the ground that other men around them realized what had happened. What? Meng Shuqing and Li Guoqiang's wailing in extreme pain could be heard in the air. This kind of execution is 10,000 times more painful than killing them directly. Since they were all strengthened aliens with tenacious vitality, even if they were cut in half, they did not die immediately despite the freezing temperature. But everyone understands that their death is only a matter of time, and what follows is tormenting time. Dozens of aliens and elite fighters who surrounded Dagon's AI engine were all frightened, and even lost the courage to attack. However, Dagon's AI engine did not intend to stop there. Since you're here, don't leave. He was killing in one direction like a hurricane, and the huge dragonfly in his hand cut people like a hot knife cut butter. That kind of incomparable power, when facing aliens below the Delta level, even if they are wearing combat uniforms, they are completely irresistible. One-sided, overwhelming massacre. Such a scene was clearly seen by Tu Yunli of the Combat Command Center. The whole staff of the center was shocked by this scene. The combined army of the two major factions in the outer city was actually killed by the enemy alone, like chopping melons and vegetables. Tu Yunli's eyes became more and more serious. At least it must be at the level of an elite member of the investigation team, or even at the level of the vice captain. These monsters, no wonder they can run rampant in Kanto, so that the Izumo organization can't do anything about them. On Dagon's side in Yanjin, the battle was resolved very quickly. There were more than 50 people, and there was not a single person left. The people here are all elites from the outer city forces. Nearly half of them are aliens. After Dagon's Yanjin killed them, he happily devoured their alien origin. Although at his level, the improvement that can be obtained by devouring lower level aliens will not be too great, but the quantity can also slightly make up for the lack of quality. What a delicious treat. The corner of Dagon Yanjin's mouth showed an endless smile. I really hope that Jiangnan region can send more food over. Preferably higher quality food. On Haing's side, Peng Jialuo's people met Takizawa Takashi and my wife Nanako. A 20-member alien team confronts a duo that uses electromagnetic guns and phantom sounds, but the battle is one-sided. My wife Nanako hides in the dark and uses the shakuhachi in her hand to attack the rhythm. Peng Jialuo immediately ordered everyone to close the order system to avoid being disturbed. But in this way, the communication between them was lost, and Peng Jialuo quickly killed 8 of them. Immediately afterwards, when the others wanted to fight back against Peng Jialuo, they found strange changes in their bodies. It's like a drowning person, always feeling that there is a liquid-like force surging in the internal organs. Peng Jialuo was shocked when he noticed this for the first time. That kind of phantom sound attack can pass through the defense and reach the body. And it's not just a phantom attack. By the time he realized all this, it was too late. The bodies of the two strangers were like balloons filled with water. After inflating strangely, they exploded with a poof. Colorful liquids are falling everywhere. Peng Jialuo also felt the strength of that kind of power, and quickly used his supernatural power to protect his body. But on the one hand, they need to withstand the rhythm attack of my wife Nanako. On the other hand, Takizawa Takashi is watching from a distance. Obviously it was the party with more people, but they seemed to be surrounded. Peng Jialuo refused to sit still. His King Kong is not bad, is a powerful ability to attack and defend. My wife Nanako's tricks can't kill him. He could see that Takizawa's ability was a means of fighting at a distance, so he had to fight at close range. As long as Takizawa Takashi is quickly killed, then the dark ability user will not be afraid. With this in mind, his golden Buddha body erupted with even more dazzling light, bursting violently, and rushed towards Takashi Takizawa in a straight line. Takashi Takizawa frowned, and fired the electromagnetic gun at Peng Jialuo one after another. Peng Jialuo did not dodge or dodge. In order to reach Takizawa Takashi as quickly as possible, he chose to resist with his body. Golden radiance enveloped his whole body, and the coins, that were comparable to cannonballs, wrapped in electric light shot at him, making his muscles dented. Then the flesh and blood were broken, and the coin was deeply embedded in his body. However, it did not completely break through his defense. Relying on his strong physical strength, he clamped those coins abruptly, and what he suffered was only skin trauma. In a second, Peng Jialuo rushed to Takizawa Takashi's side, and then slammed his golden fist on his head. Takizawa Takashi's pupils shrank, his arms were covered with lightning, and he quickly blocked himself. Boom. With this blow, Takizawa Takashi was directly blasted hundreds of meters away. My wife Nanako also sensed Peng Jialuo's strength, and the Shakuhachi voice in the air became more urgent. And Peng Jialuo finally felt that there was something flying in the air, screaming and attacking his body. That's my wife Nanako's ability. Kamaritachi can create hallucinations through phantom sound attacks. It can also use the method of sonic resonance to directly attack people's internal organs, causing them to explode from the inside of the body. Peng Jialuo's King Kong is not bad, integrates offense and defense, especially the defense is extremely powerful, comparable to a chariot. But no matter how hard a man is, his internal organs are also fragile. Peng Jialuo, who was attacking Takashi Takizawa with all his strength, had no way to defend against the attack of Scythe Weasel. With a muffled grunt, a thread of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. But now, no one can come to help him. His subordinates were all killed by the duo in just a short moment. In the battle between aliens, when the level gap is too large, the number is really meaningless. Takashi Takizawa stepped out of the smoke. One of his arms was visibly twisted. He himself was a little surprised, because the opponent in front of him was obviously more difficult to deal with than he imagined. He couldn't help but think of Takuchi Mayumi's prophecy. His action this time was Zyadaji. The task can be completed, but it will not be too smooth. It's really bad luck. I'm today, he muttered to himself. However, the next moment, Peng Jialuo's attack came in front of him again. Chapter 615. In Haing City, King Kong was not bad for Peng Jialuo, but he was finally killed by the attack of two members of the Eclipse team. His strength is considered top among the 10 coming forces. But with 1 against 2, he couldn't face the attack of his opponents at the same level after all. In the end, during the battle with Takashi Takizawa, my wife Nanako succeeded in a sneak attack with Kamaritachi and pierced his heart. Watching his huge golden body crashing down, Takizawa Takashi also let out a long breath. There was an accident almost. Suddenly there was a burst of laughter in the air. Takashi Takizawa raised his head and saw my wife Nanako riding the wind and slowly flying towards him. After landing, she looked at Peng Jialuo proudly. Without my help, it would be very difficult for you to take care of this big guy. So let him go to me. Takizawa Takashi snorted softly. If it's one-on-one, I can definitely beat him. It's just that he has too many helpers, which wastes a lot of my energy. My wife Nanako exposed him mercilessly. Forget it. His ability is to restrain you, and I'm the one who restrains him. So this time, I'm the main force. Takizawa Takashi's face was stinky, but he was powerless to refute it, because it was indeed the case. And if the ability is restrained, it may not even be able to exert half of its strength. My wife Nanako didn't care about his face, and absorbed Peng Jialuo's ability on her own. In the combat command center of Blizzard City, the shots in the screen disappeared one by one and turned into snowflakes. As the fighting continued, the equipment they used to observe the situation on the scene was also damaged one by one. But Tu Yunli didn't see them gaining the upper hand in any battlefield. Instead, within 5 minutes of the battle, 3 forces were completely wiped out. Tu Yunli still watched all this indifferently, without saying a word. But the staff of the combat command center quickly used the remaining footage to record all the information of the members of the Eclipse team, and then compiled it into a book. An hour later, the last force also lost contact. An observer turned his head and reported the news to Tu Yunli. Tu Yunli just said coldly, "Understood." There was no expression on his face, but the fluctuation in his eyes could not be concealed. Immediately sought out the information. "I'm going to report to ZHU Shui." In the mall building, Feng Huang Yuanren only ate something, then came to the window, put his hands in his pockets, and leisurely looked down at the city in front of him. Linhai City is not a big city in the southeast coastal area of China, but it is not bad in terms of prosperity. But for the Phoenix Temple from Tokyo, there is a unique charm here. That is the calm and heavy feeling from the continental plate. Neon people have had a deep sense of crisis since 100 years ago. The instability of the island country makes them always dream of becoming a land country. The classic film The Neon Sinks is the best example. And after the end of the world, the panic of isolated islands on the sea became more and more serious. As a result, radical-minded landing groups like them began to develop and grow. The Eclipse group is the most radical pioneer among this group of people. The door was pushed open suddenly, and the team members who went out to perform the mission came back one after another. Some people looked relaxed, while others suffered minor injuries. Dagong Ziyanjin was still wearing that suit, sitting leisurely on a sofa. His plain expression showed how easy this task was for him. The members of the Eclipse team all had smiles on their faces, talking about the opponents they encountered and how they solved them. At this time, there was a procrastinating sound outside the door. Boom. Something hit the door. Everyone followed the prestige and saw Nobunaga Tsukamoto lazily pushing open the door with the long sword slung across his side. But with his right hand, he was dragging a man covered in blood. Jinguji Seiichiro saw the man, frowned and asked, "Is this a prisoner you captured?" Nobunaga Tsukamoto looked at him lazily. "It's not okay to patronize killing people. We are facing a huge force. It would be great if we could get some information about them." Nobunaga lowered his head and glanced at Li Xianlong, the leader of the forces in Yunzhou City. This guy is a leader. He should know a lot of information. At this moment, Li Xianlong's eyes widened suddenly, and he shouted with the remaining strength, "Neon bastard. If you want to kill me, do it. I won't say a word." Nobunaga Tsukamoto frowned. He couldn't understand what Li Xianlong was saying. At this time, the short-haired high school student who had been staying here to cook before said with a smile, "There is a matching translation system on the combat uniform." Tsukamoto Nobunaga said, "I don't like wearing that thing. It will affect the speed of my knife." Satoru shrugged helplessly. "Let me do it." He stood up and walked to the weak Li Xianlong. "You can't even think about." Li Xianlong stared at Siwu Changwu and said in his most vicious tone at the moment, but no matter how he looked at it, he was too weak to be worthwhile. 40 Things walked up to him with a smile, not annoyed at all. "It's okay, you'll tell me." Li Xianlong sneered. You are dreaming." But his voice stopped abruptly. Because Siwu's hands were placed on both sides of his head, Li Xianlong's eyes turned white, and his whole body became demented. A pair of empty hands protruded from 40 Things' chest, and then ruthlessly inserted into Li Xianlong's head. Feng Huang Yuanren was smoking a cigarette outside, and when he entered, he found Li Xianlong's body lying on the ground, and he had lost consciousness. Siwu pushed his glasses with a smile. "Boss, we have collected information about them. This time, we really made a big fuss." The smile on the corner of his mouth gradually became abnormal, and he looked excited, like a sophomore boy who had done something earth-shattering. "The entire Jiangnan region is besieging us now. They really want to kill us. I didn't expect that we escaped here from a critical moment, and it would cause such a big commotion." Jinguji Seiichiro looked at him with disgust. "This is not something to be happy about. It will only bring us unnecessary trouble." 40 Things ignored his advice and spread his hands. "But it's really handsome, isn't it? To be so targeted by one of the 6 major districts of Huaguo." Jinguji said in a deep voice, "If they really make them anxious and try their best to deal with us, even if there is Mayumi, we may not be able to escape unscathed." 40 Things suddenly made a face at Jinguji. "Don't worry, Uncle Jinguji. I just confirmed this point." His glasses reflected a strange light. "Only 2 of the 6 top investigation forces in the Jiangnan region remain at the headquarters, and one has just lost its captain-level combat power. Now is our best chance." Chapter 616 Unbelievable Battle Situation. When Feng Huanyuanren heard the words of Siwu Changwu, a wicked smile appeared on his face. He put his hands in his pockets and said leisurely, 40 things. Tell everyone about the memory you spied on. Watching Wu, a person with spiritual abilities, codenamed Wu Xinjiui, can spy on other people's memories. Satoru folded his arms, and when he talked about business, he was still very serious. There are still 13 cities in the Jiangnan region that are guarded by large alien organizations, and their headquarters is Blizzard City. It took a certain amount of time for Siwu Changwu to tell everyone the important memories peeped from Li Xianlang's mind. After the Phoenix Academy listened, he sat on the cardboard box with a gloomy gaze, and he was making a battle plan based on this. The people who attacked us were forces from the 12 outer cities. These guys pose little threat to us. And the real threat should be the official troops in Blizzard City. Blizzard City can't make a move for the time being, and judging from the fact that they sent troops from the outer city to deal with us, they don't want to lose their elite. Jinguji Chiachiro said, in other words, there is room for negotiation, isn't it? Phoenix Academy nodded. Maybe it didn't work in the past, but now. He opened his arms and said with a heroic smile, we have let them see our strength. Now we have the qualifications to negotiate with them. Jinguji said slowly, but I don't think they will agree to our request so easily. After all, the real elite troops haven't been dispatched yet. He pushed his gold-rimmed glasses and said with a stern expression, the people sent here this time are only the vanguard, to test our strength. The next time they come, it should be their 6 major investigation teams. Nobunaga Tsukamoto moved his eyes slowly, looking at Jinguji Temple and Phoenix Temple. The others also suppressed the smiles on their faces. After all, it is a regional level special operations force, and its strength cannot be compared with this group of people. It might be a tough fight. Jinguji said. The smile on Phoenix Academy's face did not weaken in the slightest. Isn't this something that must be experienced? If we want to take root on this land and complete the first step of landing, we must go through a fierce battle. He even said with some pride, Columbus who discovered the new world died fighting the natives. But his discovery brought about huge changes in the pattern of the entire world, and brought great wealth to his country. As the pioneers, we will also be recorded in history in the future. The Phoenix Academy gave a speech with enthusiasm, and his bold and confident voice carried a powerful appeal. Afterwards, he looked at Mikomayumi Takuchi who had been sitting there quietly. What's more, we still have this trump card. Good luck will always be on our side. Everyone has different expressions on their faces. Ever since they agreed to follow Feng Huanyuanren on the icebreaker, they were mentally prepared. At this moment, 40 objects field Wu suddenly pointed at the unconscious Li Xianlang. Is this guy still useful? If not, I'm going to eat him. He licked the corner of his mouth. Nobunaga Tsukamoto, a Delta level alien, could spare his life. But Satoru 40 objects was very willing to enjoy this delicacy. No, he's still useful now. Feng Huanyuanren stared at Li Xianlang with a playful look in his eyes. You can let him go back and send a letter to the high-level officials in the Jiangnan region. He raised his neck and said slowly, we are pacifists, and we don't like fighting. It would be great if we can negotiate peacefully. Blizzard City, the headquarters building of the combat center, ZHU Zeng's office. Tu Yunli came to ZHU Zeng and handed over the battle damage report with his own hands. When ZHU Zeng checked the reports, his eyes became sharp. Even at the end, his eyes shook rarely. This is impossible. ZHU Zeng slapped the document in his hand on the table with a slap. He stood up abruptly, stared at Tu Yunli and said, no matter how powerful Eclipse Moon is, it's impossible to destroy our 10 alien troops so easily. Not to mention them, even our investigation team can't do it. In less than an hour, 13 people didn't even dispatch all of them, and killed all 10 of their alien troops. Moreover, the leader of each alien army is a strong person at the Delta level. If it was really done by the 6 major investigation teams, it would be impossible to do it so cleanly. Tu Yunli said in a low voice, according to common sense, such a result is indeed impossible. It's on our territory, we have the right time, the right people and almost every advantage. It stands to reason that they should be manipulated by us like blind men. No matter how bad they are, there will be damage. However, I envisioned all the possibilities, but I just didn't expect this result. So I think that the other party has some way to master our intelligence. ZHU Zheng stared at Tu Yunli and said word by word, if you have anything to say, you can just say it, don't play charades with me. Tu Yunli said, or, there are traitors in the War Department, and they leaked the information and location of the 10 alien troops in some way. Or, it is that a certain alien of the other party has the ability to detect and accurately grasp all our actions and personnel dispatch. He pointed to the reports on the table. We have analyzed it carefully. One of the most important reasons why the people of the Eclipse can win so quickly is that the aliens they sent happen to have the ability to restrain the team in that direction. You should understand that in a sudden encounter, if the ability is restrained, the combat effectiveness of the alien will be greatly reduced. Even under the condition of being completely restrained, the foreigner will directly become a useless person. With his hands behind his back, Tu Yunli's eyes hidden under his military cap were sharp. For the Eclipse organization, our information is completely insufficient. Originally, we could ask the Neon people to provide them with information about the abilities of these Ronin. ZHU Zheng's face darkened, and his tone became calm. What you said is indeed very reasonable. But those cunning guys, on the grounds that these people are Ronin who are not affiliated with the Neon official, did not provide key information at all. They can't wait for these guys to turn the world upside down on my land of China, so how can they help sincerely? But even so what? ZHU Zheng's tone was a bit harsh. It's just a rogue organization. Can we still not deal with it? In fact, many countries and regions have already known about this matter, and they are all watching. So we must win it beautifully, so that they can see it. They must die on this land, and be executed by us. Only in this way can we demonstrate our strength. Shock the surroundings. 000. Chapter 617 The Strangeness of Xianhai City. Of course, Tu Yunli understood ZHU Zheng's anger. Although he didn't talk much, there were already raging flames burning in his eyes, as if they could destroy everything. Shui ZHU, we can't let them continue to be crazy. I implore me to lead the team and go to Linhai City to wipe out this group of Ronin. Without even thinking about it, ZHU Zheng directly rejected Tu Yunli's proposal. No. You and Yannan's army are the most important forces guarding Blizzard City, and you must never leave. It is your responsibility to protect our base camp. ZHU Zheng crossed his hands, took a deep breath, and looked at the ceiling. The strength of the alien organization in the outer city is still too weak. Without systematic training, they will be played around when they encounter a slightly stronger enemy. To deal with the Eclipse organization this time, we still have to let the investigation team go. Tu Yunli's eyes froze. Shui ZHU, with all due respect, the opponent this time is a bit unusual. Currently the only ones who can act are the gods and the Black Robe team, but since the death of Bian Junwu, the Black Robe team has suffered serious setbacks and has been unable to complete the A-level mission. As for the Celestial Squad, Tu Yunli paused for a moment and then continued, Deng Shentang's character is still a little immature and stable. I'm not very relieved. The corners of ZHU Zheng's mouth raised slightly. Tu Yunli and Deng Shentang's personalities had always been at odds, and he knew it. The Xianshan team has the highest points among the 6 investigation teams, and their tasks have been completed relatively smoothly. We should believe in their strength. However, there is some truth to what you said. ZHU Zheng's eyes narrowed slightly, and he put his hands under his chin. We can't experience another failure. So for this operation, we not only need to send the Celestial Squad to go, we must also summon more forces. Tu Yunli's eyes lit up. Then let me take 500 Yan'an guards there. No. ZHU Zheng directly rejected him. I said, this is not your task. The pillars of Blizzard City are the 6 investigation teams and the 5,000 Yan'an guards. The investigation team is responsible for external investigations and suppressing unrest. Yan Yunwei is responsible for guarding Blizzard City. If any of the two had a problem, it would be an unacceptable loss for Blizzard City. ZHU Zheng is implementing militarized management of Blizzard City, so he must be strictly disciplined and will not let them arbitrarily overstep their duties. Otherwise, if this is the first step, there will be major problems in internal management in the future. Too Yunli pressed down the brim of his hat. Seeing ZHU Zheng's resolute attitude, he stopped talking. ZHU Zheng thought for a while and said, "Call a group of powerful aliens from other cities. The main purpose of the last battle was to find out the bottom line, and now we have to be a general. We must gather those aliens with outstanding strength. This battle must be a success." After ZHU Zheng finished speaking, he immediately ordered his secretary Lan Xincheng to take charge of this matter. As for the candidates needed for the general, he already has a good idea in mind. The information on the Jiangnan region is no joke. He has already figured out the details of almost every faction in Xianhe City. Of course, almost every faction, not all. Soon, Lan Xincheng brought him an interesting piece of information. ZHU Shui, just in the past few days, something very interesting happened in Xianhe City. When Lan Xincheng said this, there was a strange light in his eyes. ZHU Zheng couldn't help staring at Lan Xincheng. The most urgent task now is to deal with the Eclipse organization in Linhe City. It must not be for no reason that Lan Xincheng suddenly mentioned the matter of Xianhe City. After all, he is not a fledgling kid anymore. Oh, what happened there? Xianhe City, I remember. Isn't that the territory of that kid named Zhang Yi? ZHU Zheng still has some impressions of Zhang Yi, and vaguely remembers that he is a foreigner with good strength. But Xianhe City has been abolished and needs to be guarded by strong people. In addition, Zhang Yi's team is too small and it doesn't look particularly powerful. In fact, ZHU did not intend to let them join the next operation. Lan Xincheng looked at the report in his hand and read it slowly. According to the investigation department's information, last night, 3 large alien organizations in Day City integrated a huge team and entered the territory of Xianhe City. The convoy is led by 3 Delta-level aliens, 72 aliens, and 800 elite fighters. It also carries a large amount of weapons and ammunition. When ZHU Zheng heard this, he frowned deeply. They're going to attack Xianhe City. This group of damned fellows. What time is this? They are killing each other in disregard of the regulations of the region. The Jiangnan Super Energy Federation has just been established, and it is expressly stipulated that conflicts between alien forces in various regions are not allowed. But a few days after the meeting ended, there was a fight over there. Does this clearly mean that they don't take them seriously? However, ZHU Zheng was just a little angry. Now, it is impossible for him to divide his troops to help Xianhe City. The Jiangnan region is indeed very strong, but they are still unable to completely govern the entire region, and can only use their absolute superiority of force to deter and suppress. This is why ZHU is about to set up a federation. He sighed. With the current strength of Xianhe City, I'm afraid it has already fallen. Are you going to tell me about this? Lan Xincheng looked at ZHU Zheng with weird eyes. No, ZHU Shui. According to the latest information, Xianhe City is very quiet now, and there is no sign of any exchange of fire. Instead, the team from Days City completely disappeared. The expression on ZHU Zheng's face froze for a moment, and then he looked at Lan Xincheng with a puzzled face. Disappeared? Lan Xincheng nodded seriously. That's right, it's gone. We tried to contact them, but we didn't get any reply. Even if we used satellites to scan the entire Xianhe City, there was no sign of a large convoy. The look on ZHU Zheng's face became more and more strange. What the hell are they doing? Could it be that they want to rebel? They dare not respond to the news from the Jiangnan region. This is definitely an act of provoking the majesty of the region. However, is the alien organization in Day City really that stupid? ZHU Zheng tapped the table with his right hand, and he suddenly asked, have you contacted the local forces in Xianhe City? Lan Xincheng was slightly taken aback. That's not true. But, the forces in Xianhe City were all destroyed in the previous battle, so they shouldn't have the strength to wipe out the alien alliance in Day City so cleanly, right? Lan Xincheng thinks that is completely impossible. Even if you have experienced a war, you can at least see the traces of the battlefield on the map. In fact, there was no abnormal movement in Xianhe City. Chapter 618 Recruitment. Almost all the combat power of the 3 major forces in Day City has disappeared. This strange phenomenon made ZHU Zheng, who had a keen sense of smell, feel something was wrong. In his mind, the face of that indifferent young man emerged. For some reason, ZHU Zheng felt that Zhang Yi must have known about this matter. He immediately said to Lan Xincheng, "Call Zhang Yi. I want to talk to him." Lan Xincheng hurriedly said yes, then took out the black satellite phone, found Zhang Yi's contact information from it, and dialed. At this time, Zhang Yi, who was in the shelter, had actually been waiting for the contact from the Jiangnan region. With such a big thing happening, the Jiangnan region has to express it no matter what. But Zhang Yi knew in his heart that this was just going through the process to save face. It was all over anyway, and they were the ones being invaded, so there would be no problem. After seeing the strange call, Zhang Yi answered the call without hesitation. "Hey. Hello, is that Zhang Yi? Well, it's me." Lan Xincheng glanced at ZHU Zheng and said, "I'm Lan Xincheng, Secretary of the Command Department of the Jiangnan Region Combat Command Center. Commander ZHU is looking for you," Lan Xincheng said, and handed the satellite phone to ZHU Zheng. Zhang Yi's voice became much more enthusiastic. "Sure ZHU. Long time no see. Although it's only been 3 days since we met last time, your heroic and strong image has always been deeply imprinted in my mind." The corner of ZHU Zheng's mouth raised an imperceptible smile. No one would be unhappy about being flattered. It's just that some people can hide it better. The key is to see who the flattering person is. In ZHU Zheng's eyes, Zhang Yi was at least a good talent, so he was very happy to be flattered by Zhang Yi. Okay, stop flattering me. This is useless to me. Tell me, did something happen to you in Qianhe City? Zhang Yi had already prepared his speech in his heart. The alien alliance in Days City was destroyed, and it was impossible to hide this matter. He did not dare to underestimate the intelligence system of the Jiangnan region. The 3 major forces in Days City intend to invade our territory and resources in Qianhe City. They ignored our strong protest and directly dispatched large forces to attack. Finally, under the tenacious resistance of all the aliens in Qianhe City, they will all be wiped out here. We acted in a reasonable, lawful, and compliant manner, based on the principle of defending our homeland and the basic principles you issued at the founding meeting of the Jiangnan Superpower Federation. Resolutely block all incoming enemies. Achieve the high standard of being able to fight, know how to fight, and win battles, and have strict requirements." ZHU Zheng was dizzy from hearing this. Stop. Where did you learn so many details? So, the aliens in Days City were really wiped out by you? Zhang Yi nodded. "That's right. I have evidence that they actively invaded us, and I will send it to the district immediately and ask the leader to judge for us." ZHU is not concerned about these. Judging from the trajectory of the action, the invasion of Qianhe City by the alien alliance at Days City is already an indisputable fact. This is a lice on the bald man's head, the obvious thing. It's just that he didn't understand that Qianhe City did it so neatly. Nearly 1,000 people, including many powerful aliens, were completely wiped out. Not even the remnants of the battlefield were found by them. How did you do it? The 3 alien organizations in Days City are not weak. ZHU Zheng asked curiously. Zhang Yi laughed. ZHU Shui, we also have our own secrets. This is the foundation of our survival. Please forgive me for not being able to reveal it. Because you also know the current situation in Qianhe City, we need to have means to save our lives. ZHU Zheng raised his eyebrows. Oh. Do you want to keep it a secret from us? Zhang Yi insisted. Please forgive me, we dare not take any risks. This is not disrespect to you. After ZHU Zheng was silent for a moment, he nodded. Well, it's just that my curiosity is heavy. The smile on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth grew stronger. ZHU is just reminding Zhang Yi that he will investigate this matter. But Zhang Yi swore that ZHU Zheng would not be able to find out in a short time. Because no one can imagine that there is a foreigner of Zhang Yi's level in Qianhe City. In the eyes of those people in the Jiangnan region, only they can cultivate top aliens. Even if the aliens in the outer city are not low in ability level, they are far inferior to Blizzard City in terms of comprehensiveness. By coincidence, ZHU Zheng suddenly had an idea. He said to Zhang Yi, "Come to Blizzard City again in the next 2 days. There is something you need to do." Zhang Yi's smile froze on his face. "Go again?" That, just finish the war, we still have a lot of things to do. A smile flashed in ZHU Zheng's eyes. As long as you come here by yourself. He felt more and more that he had underestimated Zhang Yi back then. There must be some secret hidden in this kid. Then this time Lin He City's action must be brought with him. At the very least, he is extremely good at defense and possesses the strength of elite investigators, so he will definitely help in the past. Zhang Yi rubbed his head. He really hates these troubles. May I ask, what is it that made me go there? Of course he wanted to go, but he had to know what it was, so he could be prepared. ZHU Zheng exhaled deeply and said in a deep voice, the first batch of alien organizations sent to Lin He City have been wiped out. What? How could this happen? Zhang Yi couldn't help blurting out. Those are 10 powerful alien organizations. None of the alien organizations that dared to go to Lin He City was too weak. Although Zhang Yi knew that Lin He City was in danger, he couldn't imagine that they were all defeated in less than 3 days. Moon of erosion. Is this organization really that strong? ZHU Zheng said, next time, we will form a group of stronger teams to deal with these rogues. At that time, an investigation team will lead the team, and you will be responsible for assisting. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and then said with firm eyes, I understand. I will rush there as fast as possible. This matter does not need to be considered. That Ronin organization from Neon must be eradicated from this land. Otherwise, everyone's face in the entire Jiangnan region will be dull. Zhang Yi may be cautious, but he still has the most basic sense of honor. He didn't go there before because he felt that the Jiangnan region could be settled and he wanted to get more information. But now, the seriousness of the problem is beyond his imagination. So he had to go there and contribute his own strength. Chapter 619 Liang Yue and -039 S question. Without any hesitation, Zhang Yi decided to go to Blizzard City. If this matter requires his strength, he will not stay out of it under the premise of ensuring his own safety. At the very least, one has to know that those Ronin have been completely wiped out to be at ease. Otherwise, from now on, there will be no peace in this land. With the first batch, there will definitely be a second batch, and a third batch. As long as an opening is made, those surrounding forces that are coveting the resources of the mainland will come like locusts. Regardless of whether it is from the perspective of justice or self-interest, he has to go there. ZHU Zheng didn't ask Zhang Yi to bring all the elites of Xianhe City. After all, each city also needs to leave some strength to defend. But after Zhang Yi thought for a while, he decided to bring a few people with him because of safety considerations. In case of any situation, it is still convenient for one's own use. So he called everyone in the shelter to gather in the living room. The 10 alien organizations sent by the 12 outer cities have all been wiped out by the eclipse. Now the Jiangnan region is calling me to go, and I plan to bring 2 people to go with me. Zhang Yi pointed at Liang Yu. Liang Yu. No one was surprised at this point. In today's shelter, Liang Yu is the second most powerful fighter after Zhang Yi. Although her ability is only an ordinary strengthening system, she is a powerful martial arts master herself, so her combat effectiveness is excellent. Just when everyone was thinking about who would be the second candidate, Zhang Yi hugged Huahe over. The second one, of course, is Huahe. Unexpected, but within reason. Huahe's fighting strength is probably similar to Liang Yu's. Uncle Yu frowned and pointed to his nose. Zhang Yi, what about us? Are you going to leave us this time and face the danger by yourself? It's about the honor of my family and country. As a veteran, I must not sit idly by. Fatty Zhu hesitated for a moment, then clenched his fists and said, we have dealt with any problems in the past together, and we hope to help you this time. Zhang Yi stroked Huahe's soft fur, and a gentle smile appeared on his face. Your intentions are very good. But this is war, not a game of brotherhood. The strength of each of the 10 alien organizations sent in the first round is not much different from the base in Xianhe City. Their leaders are all Delta level alien leaders. Even with such a huge lineup, they were completely killed by the Ronin. Do you think you can beat those Neon people in the past? Zhang Yi's eyes glanced at Uncle Yu, and the others calmly. Uncle Yu's expression was a little gloomy. His ability level is only at the gamma level of LV3, and in the past battles, he always served as a human shield. However, as Zhang Yi's strength became stronger and stronger, and Liang Yu and Huahua also grew rapidly through the ability to eat together, his role in the team's combat power became smaller and smaller. It made him feel a little guilty. Fatty Zhu was fine. He was used to being careless, and he was more in charge of controlling the field on the battlefield. If he doesn't have to fight, he can be happy. Anyway, he's already lying flat. Boss, if you don't let me fight, I won't fight. Zhang Yi noticed Uncle Yu's loss, thought for a while, and then changed his words. This time, we just went to understand the situation in Linhai City first. If we need help at that time, I will contact you again, and let you go there. For the people in the 3 major bases, Zhang Yi did indeed intend to do so. Although the 3 major bases have fallen, there are still some powerful aliens still alive. Especially Crossing Cheyenne and Zhao Hanglian, both possess Delta level strength. It's just that, if it's not necessary, he still wants to put these 2 people in Cheyenne City, to guard them to avoid accidents. But what Uncle Yu said was just to comfort him. No need for too many words. Among adult men, too much comfort would hit his self-esteem instead. Only then did Uncle Yu's eyes light up. Well, then you must remember to call me over. Zhang Yi smiled slightly. Definitely. How do I feel? That this operation will be very dangerous. Zhao Ke sat by Zhang Yi's hand, frowning beautifully, with a worried expression on his face. Is the opponent this time so scary? Didn't it mean that there were only 13 people? Zhang Yi silently shook his head. I don't have any information about them, so naturally I can't talk about it. But I believe that after this battle, the Jiangnan region must have collected their information. When the time comes, go and see. Yang Mi hugged his arm tightly. Her soft body was close to him. She sighed softly and said, I'm going to fight again. I'm really worried that something will happen to you. Now, Zhang Yi has become the backbone of everyone in the shelter. Only with Zhang Yi present can they live a stable life. No one wants anything to happen to him. Zhang Yi smiled slightly, put his arms around her soft waist, and felt her graceful figure. After awakening the supernatural power, she used the doctor ability to transform her body, making her figure reach the golden ratio, and the hand feeling is completely unspeakable. Don't worry, I know what to do when the time comes. I, Zhang Yi, have a rule of life. If you are good, you will benefit the world, and if you are poor, you will be alone. At that time, I will act on the premise of protecting myself, and I will not be a hero. And this time, the Jiangnan region is leading, and the investigation team must be the main force. We are just fighting and cooperating. After a brief explanation, Zhang Yi put on his equipment and planned to set off immediately. On his side, communicate with Lan Xincheng, and Blizzard City's special train will come to pick him up. Soon, he left the shelter on a snowmobile with Liang Yu, who was also heavily armed. After the car started, Zhang Yi sent messages to Crossing Cheyenne, Zhao Hanglian and Chen Jingwen, telling them about the situation in Linhai City, and let them be ready to support at any time. It's impossible for Zhang Yi to charge forward, and they are younger brothers, to enjoy leisure in the back. Zhang Yi didn't allow this to happen. Zhang Yi was on the phone in the front row, and calmly reminded them to take precautions when he was not around. Although all the aliens in Day City have been wiped out, other cities may not be so honest. Of course, after Zhang Yi went to Blizzard City, the first thing he did was to ask Zhu Zheng to assure him that no force would invade Cheyenne City. At least a guarantee of safety should be given during his absence. Only when the safety of the rear is guaranteed can Zhang Yi deal with the Neon Ronin without any worries. Liang Yu was sitting in the co-pilot, and Huahua was lying on her stomach on her long legs, after exercising just right. Even cats like long, slender and round legs. Liang Yu looked at Zhang Yi's side face from time to time, hesitant to speak. Zhang Yi can naturally notice her abnormality. So after finishing the call, he put down the satellite phone and asked indifferently, do you have anything to do? You can speak directly. Liang Yu frowned slightly and asked without delay, Zhang Yi, will there come a day when the people around us are of no value to you, and you will abandon us? Chapter 620. 1 hour. Liang Yu's question is not without reason. This time, Zhang Yi only brought her and Huahua to Blizzard City, but refused to bring Uncle Yu and others. It's easy for Zalcar and Lucaran to explain. They are auxiliary aliens after all. But what about Uncle Yu and Zhu Chunlei? Both of them are combat type aliens, and there is only one reason for Zhang Yi not to take them with him. That is, their combat strength is no longer enough in the battles that Zhang Yi is participating in now. This will inevitably make Liang Yu, who is also a member of the team, feel a little worried. After Zhang Yi listened to Liang Yu's question, a playful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He didn't answer Liang Yu's question directly, but asked instead, "Teacher Liang, do you think I'm the kind of person who is eager to build a powerful force and constantly develop my own team?" Liang Yu blinked. "Isn't it?" Zhang Yi replied decisively, "Of course not. Indeed, from the last days until now, it seems that our team is growing in size. But I never planned to create a large-scale force and then dominate the idea of the last days." He glanced at Liang Yu. "Otherwise, I can integrate all the forces of Xianhei City at any time now. Do you think I did this?" Liang Yu showed a thoughtful look. "You didn't do that." Even if he took people from the 3 major bases as his subordinates, Zhang Yi had no plans to manage them. "It really doesn't seem like the kind of thing an ambitious person should do," Zhang Yi said lightly. "At the beginning of the end of the world, I kept gathering talents because I didn't have the ability to protect myself. If everyone hugs together to keep warm, they can all survive well. At that time, my criteria for selecting team members were indeed very utilitarian. But now, the most difficult years have passed, and you and I are no longer simply using each other." Zhang Yi looked at Liang Yu. His eyes became gentle. "We are family now. How can a family dislike who has less effect? Even if you can't do anything, as long as you can accompany me, that's enough." Zhang Yi's eyes were full of sincerity, which relieved Liang Yu, who was a bit grudged. She nodded. "That's good. In fact, I have already regarded everyone as my family. I hope we can all live well in the last days." Zhang Yi smiled and nodded. "That's right. So you are not allowed to have such thoughts in the future. How can a family doubt each other?" Liang Yu bowed her head in embarrassment. "I think too much. Sorry." Zhang Yixin said, "I'm not a devil." In essence, Zhang Yi thinks that he is just an ordinary person. He's not very good, and he doesn't have many evil aspects. All he wants is to survive in peace in the last days. It would be even better if he could have a group of companions who would give him warmth. People always need a little spiritual comfort. Therefore, even if Uncle Yu and the others were unable to help Zhang Yi in the battle in the future, Zhang Yi's superficial attitude towards them would not change. Having a group of trustworthy people to accompany him is extremely precious in the last days. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu came to Xiaomiaoshan subway station. He put away the snowmobile and then came to the platform to wait for the special train to pick him up. The patent arrived on time as agreed. It was still the familiar female stewardess robot, smiling and asking them to sit down. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu walked into the special train, while Huahua squatted on Zhang Yi's shoulder as usual. This time, since there was no need to pick up people in other cities halfway, it took less than 2 hours to reach Blizzard City. Zhang Yi and Liang Yu got off the train. The platform was quiet, only a few soldiers guarded with guns. But Zhang Yi met several old friends. Bailey Changqing, the current captain of the black-robed investigation team, and old acquaintances Wu Di and Meng Xiaoyu. All 3 were dressed in cool black combat uniforms. After seeing Zhang Yi, Bailey Changqing and Meng Xiaoyu all had smiles on their faces. Although Wu Di still looked like he was dragging, there was still a trace of awe in Zhang Yi's eyes. After all, last time, Zhang Yi defeated him head-on, while suppressing his strength. Ha ha ha. Zhang Yi, welcome to Blizzard City. It's really time for you to come now. Bailey Changqing walked over with a big smile and gave Zhang Yi a bear hug. Zhang Yi asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" The captain of one of the 6 major investigation teams actually came to greet him in person, which made Zhang Yi somewhat strange. When did he lose face so much? Bailey Changqing let go of Zhang Yi and said with a smile, "It was ZHU Shui who asked me to pick you up. To be honest, I was a little surprised that you agreed to join this operation." Zhang Yi knew in his heart that ZHU Zeng's attention must have been drawn to his elimination of the alien alliance in Days City. After hearing Bailey Changqing's words, Zhang Yi just smiled plainly. "Do you think it's possible for me to refuse?" The smile on the corner of Bailey Chanking's mouth grew stronger. That's different. ZHU Shui said, you are very cooperative this time, and you immediately agreed to come over. Zhang Yi took a deep breath. This is not a strange thing, is it? Even if I'm facing the invasion of foreign enemies, I can't be alone, right? Zhang Yi is not stupid. Bailey Chanking nodded approvingly, and then sighed. You are right. The trouble this time is indeed more serious than we imagined. Mentioning this, Zhang Yi couldn't help but look serious. What the hell is going on here? Is the Eclipse group so strong? It can even wipe out 10 alien troops? Bailey Chanking said in a deep voice. It's much more serious than you imagined. Let alone you. Even ZHU Shui was shocked when he heard what happened at that time. The power of the Eclipse reveals a strangeness in it. Do you know how long it took them to solve the 10 alien troops? Zhang Yi stared at him. How long? 1 hour. Bailey Chanking said word by word. What? Zhang Yi was taken aback. 1 hour. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Even if Bayan Junwu led all the members of the Black Robe team, it would be impossible to do it in his prime. Because there are too many uncertainties in war. When you don't know the enemy well, you need to be careful in probing and allocate troops reasonably to fight. If this battle was a Black Robe team fighting against 10 alien teams, Zhang Yi figured it would take 10.5 months. The same is true, even when the Frontier Army uses Nirvana. Because when your ability is exposed, others will take corresponding measures to deal with it. Even if you lose, it won't let you kill everyone in an hour like a pig, right? Bailey Chanking said, let's talk while walking. Let's go to the bar and have a good chat. Zhang Yi raised his eyebrows and asked curiously, shouldn't I be asked to meet ZHU Shui directly? He must have a mission to come here. ZHU Zheng asked Bailey Chanking to pick him up, but Bailey Chanking took him to drink. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 621 Suspicious Clouds. Bailey Chanking smiled and said, don't worry. This time, ZHU Shui was really angry. He summoned many experts from the entire Jiangnan region, but you are not the only one. And this mobilization also needs to be discussed with other high-level leaders in the region. As for the specific situation, I don't know much about it. Bailey Chanking spread his hands. You should understand that I'm just a combatant. A strange color flashed in Zhang Yi's eyes. Just a combatant? I'm afraid it's not that simple. To put it bluntly, the strength of Bailey Chanking is still far behind Bayan Junwu and Deng Shentang. Although he was barely promoted to serve as the captain of the Black Robe team. But others may not recognize his identity. Zhang Yi didn't say anything, just nodded. Then let's go. Bailey Chanking and Zhang Yi walked in front, and the others followed behind. After leaving the subway station, they got into Bailey Chanking's car and arrived at the password bar in a short while. Bailey Evergreen has its own box here. It was not the first time Zhang Yi came here. After entering the room, he sat on the orange sofa in the middle very familiarly, crossing his legs. Liang Yu took a curious look at the surrounding scene with Longming on her shoulders and sat down not far from Zhang Yi. Bailey Chanking called the waiter and ordered 2 bottles of whiskey. Wu Di and Meng Xiai also ordered their drinks. Zhang Yi and Miss Liang Yu, what would you like to drink? Zhang Yi reached out and stroked Tuahua's soft fur. I want 2 glasses of milk. Bailey Evergreen. Wu Di couldn't help complaining. Did you run to the bar to drink milk? Zhang Yi raised his head and looked at him. Sure, ZH, you may summon me at any time. You want me to go see him smelling of alcohol? Bailey Chanking smiled and said, that's true. But you may not understand. ZH Shui often has a drink. After all, the weather is too cold, and liquor has become an important drink for people. Liang Yu said flatly, I want a cup of oolong tea. Bailey Chanking asked the waiter to serve the wine. After the waiter closed the door, Bailey Chanking suppressed the smile on his face, sat up straight, and chatted with him about Linhai City. The situation in Linhai City is very complicated. If it weren't for this, ZHU Shui and other high-level officials would not have dispatched troops so cautiously. About the Eclipse team, we have actually collected some information through our own intelligence channels. They are very strong, and everyone is a Delta level alien. At the time of Neon, they were all over the Kanto area, and even the highest institution in the Kanto region, Izumo, didn't have a good way of dealing with them. But even so, it is absolutely impossible for them to wipe out 10 alien troops so easily without preparation. Zhang Yi frowned, his back felt a little cold. You mean, there are spies in Blizzard City? We revealed all our actions to them? Bailey Changking also frowned, and slowly said, this possibility is not impossible, but it is not great. After the end of the world, in order to prevent someone from attacking Blizzard City through information channels, the headquarters has adopted the most top-level information defense methods. The combat center is one of the most important departments in Blizzard City, and its security level is S level. No one can leak information from there silently. Zhang Yi took a deep breath and said in a solemn tone, but if they hadn't fully grasped the information of the 10 alien troops, they would never be able to wipe them out so easily. That's where we got confused. Bailey Changking folded his arms and said in a deep voice, don't forget, this is a Bagheera full of mutant creatures. None of us know what kind of aliens the other party has. Perhaps, this is the ability of a certain alien in the opposing team. Zhang Yi's breathing was a little heavy. You mean, the ability to predict the future? If they really have this ability, what will they use to fight this battle? No matter what you do, they can predict the trajectory of all your actions. It's like playing rock paper scissors and asking you to come out first. Bailey Changking rubbed his head. It's just a guess now. We don't have conclusive evidence to prove it. But I don't think it's that exaggerated. If they really have that kind of ability, they can take down all the alien organizations in the entire Neon. Why did they come across the sea? Zhang Yi folded his arms and sneered. Speaking of which, it's just that the intelligence collection is not enough. But Bailey Changking said, you can't say that. In order to obtain their information, we have paid a heavy enough price. The smile on the corner of Zhang Yi's mouth slowly disappeared, and then turned into contempt. The prices you mentioned refer to the first batch of 10 alien organizations that applied to go to Linhai City? Bailey Changking seems to have just remembered at this time that Zhang Yi is also the leader of the forces in the outer city. Maybe it's because Zhang Yi's strength is so strong that Bailey Changking always asks Bailey Changking to separate him from other outsiders. This is also impossible. Bailey Changking smiled dryly. Zhang Yi shrugged. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have much to do with me anyway. Speaking of it, I would like to thank you for reminding me. Zhang Yi has no objection to the actions of ZHU Zheng and other Blizzard City executives. This is war. If a chess player wants to win the commander, it is impossible to keep every piece, and there must be a piece to sacrifice. As long as Zhang Yi wasn't the one who sacrificed, it doesn't matter. Zhang Yi's heart became more vigilant. Although he came here with the intention of expelling foreign enemies, he absolutely refused to let him be cannon fodder. Suddenly, another idea popped up in Zhang Yi's mind. Bailey, do you think there will be an Epsilon level existence among their people? Bailey Changking was silent for a moment. Even Woody and the others couldn't help but look sideways. Epsilon. These 4 words have very great magic power. During the battle in Linhai City, they had already seen what a terrifying existence it was. If the eclipse really exists, then it would be much more reasonable to kill 10 teams of aliens in seconds. But Bailey Changking decisively denied this statement. No. There was a video from the battlefield back then, and we clearly saw those rogues attacking. Although their strength is good, they definitely can't reach the level of Epsilon. Zhang Yi nodded. If that's the case, there's still something else to do. Those are Onin, not a little girl with little combat experience like you and Kangai. If there really was Epsilon, even if Zhang Yi had passed, the possibility of death would not be out of the question. Chapter 620 To the Provocation of the Phoenix Academy. Zhang Yi and Bailey Changking chatted, inquiring about the situation in Linhai City, especially the information about the eclipse. He already felt that, if there were no accidents, he would definitely go to the battlefield. At this time, it is necessary to collect as much information as possible. Bailey Changking didn't know much about the situation in Linhai City. The real core information is only in the hands of ZHU Zheng, Tu Yunli and other high-level officials. But seeing Zhang Yi's serious look, he encouraged with a smile. Actually, you don't need to worry too much. For this operation, you people from the outer city are just supporting. If it weren't for the lack of manpower in the investigation team, you wouldn't even need to come here. Zhang Yi looked at Bailey Changqing curiously. Will you go there? Bailey Changqing shook his head with demise. The above said that we should not participate in this operation if we have not recovered from our injuries from the last mission. The battle with Yuan Kanga left everyone in the Black Robe team with serious injuries. But this reason is obviously a bit perfunctory. With Blizzard City's medical conditions, most people's injuries have already recovered. For example, Woody is alive and well now. To put it bluntly, it doesn't mean that Bailey Changqing can't support this team after Ban Junwu is dead. At the very least, it is impossible to take on such a difficult task in front of you. But you don't have to worry. If there are no accidents, the Shanshan team will take over this mission. If they make a move, they haven't failed yet. Bailey Changqing laughed. The bell rang outside the door, and the waiter came over with drinks. Zhang Yi took 2 glasses of milk, one for Huata, and one for himself. It can be seen that you have a lot of trust in them. While drinking milk, he stared at Bailey Changqing, waiting for him to speak later. Bailey Changqing said, although the 6 major investigation teams are not convinced by each other, it is difficult to distinguish between each other. But the Shanshan team is indeed the highest in completing the task. The points they have obtained have always been among the 6 major investigation teams. Top of the list. Woody couldn't help but said, isn't it because their family is rich? Zhang Yi couldn't help laughing. He wiped the smile from the corner of his mouth and said, you mean, he relies on the resources of the Deng family, right? Bailey Changqing nodded. That's right, the Deng family itself is an important force in Blizzard City. Blizzard City's technology is very dependent on them, especially in terms of biotechnology. The origin bomb, the various compounds that can strengthen the aliens, all come from their Deng group. And Deng Shentong, as the direct descendant of the Deng family, is naturally the target of their cultivation. Zhang Yi drank the milk silently, and he smelled an unusual smell. Why does it sound like a god-made flavor? If Deng Shentong maintains this state, his prestige may even surpass the other 6 teams in the future. It's even possible that he will become ZHU Zheng's successor. Zhang Yi muttered to himself. This topic is a bit sensitive. But the Deng family's actions are too obvious, and many people know it in their hearts. Bailey Changqing even said without hesitation, Blizzard City is very dependent on the Deng family now. Although ZHU Shui is the supreme commander of Blizzard City, he also needs to give the patriarch of the Deng family some face. It's no surprise that they want to take advantage of the troubled times to gain more benefits. After Bailey Changqing finished speaking, he suddenly laughed and raised the whiskey in his hand. Ha ha ha. What do these things have to do with us warriors? No matter who is in power, as long as he can make everyone live comfortably, we will just obey orders. Drink and drink. Zhang Yi smiled and picked up the milk in his hand. It's done. Zhang Yi finished the milk in his hand, and Bailey Changqing happily drank a large glass of whiskey. It can be seen that his alcohol capacity is very good. When Zhang Yi arrived in Blizzard City, a meeting with only a few people was going on in the high-level meeting room of the Combat Center building. ZHU Zheng, the Supreme Commander of the Jiangnan region, Lan Xincheng, the Secretary of the Commander's Office, and Sun Luxun, the guard who is almost inseparable from ZHU Zheng. In addition to these 3 people, the next ones are the head of the War Department, Tu Yunli, Deng Yuanbo, the chairman of the Deng Group, and Deng Shentong, the captain of the Shanshan team. These few people are the most powerful figures in the entire Jiangnan region, except for the 4 captains of the investigation team who are out on missions. And today they gathered together because of one person. A person who was released by the Eclipse organization, the leader of the Yunzhao forces, Li Xianlang. In the first battle, all the 10 forces sent over were wiped out, and Li Xianlang was the only survivor of them. But when he returned to Blizzard City, he quickly lost his vitality. And from the satellite phone on his body, he found something sent to Blizzard City by the Eclipse Moon organization. The boss of the Eclipse organization, the man who wears a grey newsboy hat and likes to wear a grey suit and vest, gave Blizzard City something. This important document was sent to ZHU Zheng immediately. And this is exactly why ZHU Zheng summoned so many Blizzard City executives. At this time, the lights in the conference room were turned off, and the huge screen was lit up, and then the face of Phoenix Academy Ren appeared. Sitting down there are all the bosses, all wanting to see what this arrogant Ronin leader wants to do. A few seconds after the video played, the man in his 30s smiled at the camera and waved hello. Note, the Phoenix Academy speaks neon language, but the high-level executives are all wearing translation tools. Hi, everyone in the Jiangnan region. How are you? Please give me some advice when we meet for the first time. In the Lower Phoenix Academy, I'm the leader of the Eclipse team. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Recently, both of us seem to have had some small conflicts, which really made us a little unhappy. He made a gesture of pressing his hands down, with a serious expression on his face. I think we should all calm down at this point. Actually, we shouldn't be enemies, because it's not in the interest of either of us to keep fighting. He held up a finger, a sly and indifferent gleam in his eyes. What we want is to get a piece of land in the area you call the Central Plains for us to survive. Anyway, so many people in your country have died, it is impossible to use up such a huge land. It's better to take them out and give them to us poor homeless people. Of course, we will also be very grateful for your kindness, and we will remember your great kindness forever. So, don't continue this farce. As long as you withdraw all your soldiers, promise not to attack us in the future, and give us a piece of land. Then, we won't massacre people on this land again. Feng Huang Yuanren narrowed his eyes, and the corner of his mouth smiled like a fox. Please think carefully, I'm waiting for your response. But if you continue to fight, I believe you have already seen what the consequences will be. Those alien troops, before are the best example. Chapter 623 High-level meetings. The video basically ended here, and everyone in the meeting room looked very ugly. No one is not surprisingly angry. These damned Ronin actually have such big ambitions, to go to the land of the Hua Kingdom to claim the country. Boom. ZHU Zheng slapped the table on the spot. As a soldier, his eyes almost burst into flames. It's too rampant. These rogues are so courageous, they dare to run wild on the territory of our Hua Kingdom. They must be wiped out on the spot, leaving no one behind. Deng Shentang stood up, his slender body and resolute eyes both revealed his confidence. Shui ZHU, let me lead the team to destroy them. Give me a day, and I will hold their heads to see you. ZHU Zheng looked at Deng Shentang with approval in his eyes. Young people are driven. But at this moment, a cough sounded in the conference room. Cough, cough, cough. This voice made ZHU Zheng look sideways. Deng Yuanbo, the chairman of the Deng Group and the uncle of Deng Shentang, put down his right hand and said with a smile, why is it so troublesome to deal with these rogues? Just use Death of Love and target them with the lock and bomb. He is a bit short in stature, in his 50s, but looks younger than his actual age, and his smooth skin doesn't even have any wrinkles. It's just that there is always a slight smile on that Buddha-like face, which reminds people of the words, harmony generates wealth. No one can see the change of expression on his face. He is the patriarch of the Deng family, Deng Yuanbo, who is known as the Eight-Faced Buddha. In Blizzard City's technological field, Deng's group provided at least half of the assistance. Even ZHU Zheng had to give him some face. After Deng Shentang heard Deng Yuanbo's words, he immediately said anxiously, Uncle, they are just some rogues, why bother mobilizing people like this? I'll take people there and just kill them right away. Deng Yuanbo glanced at him with a smile, and pressed his hands lightly. Shentang, don't get excited. Sit down. Sit down. Hey, you young people are really easy to get ahead when encountering things. Why don't you think about it first? Deng Shentang still listened to what his uncle said and sat down obediently, but from his dissatisfied expression and his fingers tapping on the table, it can be seen that he still wants to fight the eclipse. ZHU Zheng looked at Deng Yuanbo and said with a smile, Mr. Deng, the Death of Love is not easy to use. He put his hands behind his back and said seriously, the number of death gods of love in our Jiangnan region is limited, and every time we use it, we have to explain it to other regions. The most important thing is, if we use this kind of big killer on our own land, just to deal with a small group of Ronin organizations, wouldn't that mean telling others that there is no one in my Jiangnan region? I'm afraid the whole world will laugh at us by then. Deng Yuanbo shook his head with a smile. Compared with face, I think lining is more important. We haven't figured out the strength of this rogue organization yet. The 10 alien organizations, although they are all aliens from the outer city, can kill an elephant if there are too many ants. Not to mention they are a group of hyenas. However, such a powerful force was completely wiped out by the eclipse in just 1 hour. I think it is very difficult for our investigation team to do this kind of thing. Deng Yuanbo's attitude was also very clear. This mission was too dangerous, and he didn't want his nephew to take the risk. Deng Shentong is a key talent cultivated by their Deng family, and they have high hopes for it in the future. The son of a daughter can't sit down. Even before performing missions, the Deng family would use all their strength every time to obtain enough information before acting. But the current situation is that the Jiangnan region has too little information about the eclipse. Deng Yuanbo was worried. At this time, Chief of Operations Tu Yunli also spoke. I don't think Eclipse is stronger than the investigation team. According to our investigation, the Eclipse moon comes from Neon Kanto, and its members are complex. They include gangsters, office workers, witches, and even students, and squatting at home. Even though they have awakened their abilities, they have not undergone professional training like the investigation team. This can be seen from the previous video. We are laymen, so it is easy to appear that they are very strong. However, it is not the case. In terms of combat quality, the Celestial Squad completely surpasses them. ZHU Zheng also said, and this time, it's not just the members of the Celestial Squad who acted. I also recruited some of the best aliens from the outer city to cooperate with them. These people, together with the Celestial Squad, and the assistance of our entire Jiangnan region, taking down these Ronin is definitely not a problem. Deng Yuanbo could only smile when he saw ZHU Zheng speak so solemnly. Although as the head of the Deng family, he has a certain status in Blizzard City, but it is impossible to blatantly contradict ZHU Zheng. However, he tactfully put forward another suggestion. In that case, can you call other members of the investigation team back to participate in this operation together? Lan Xincheng pushed the gold-rimmed glasses and said calmly, the investigation teams such as Devil and Samza are all carrying out very important tasks. In terms of task level, I'm afraid it will not be much lower than Linhai City. The Jiangnan region is too big. I don't know how busy it is to level the mountains and rivers and clear up internal and external chaos. No one can sit idle. Hearing the names of other investigation teams, Deng Shentong immediately frowned. There is no need to wait for them to come back. For this mission, our Celestial Squad can attack. If we want to wait for them to come back, these guys would have already run away. There is a faint competitive relationship between the 6 major investigation teams, and they all hope to be the top of the 6 major investigation teams. And Deng Shentong, the noble son, is even more concerned about his reputation. If it gets out, he has to ask other investigation teams to assist him in the task. Wouldn't it make people laugh? Deng Yuanbo frowned slightly and looked at his nephew, feeling a little helpless. But before he could say anything, ZHU Zheng made a final decision. You're right, time waits for no one. What if these guys go to other cities and cause massacres in other cities? The Celestial Squad will be responsible for this mission. We must end this fast quickly. Even though they know there are risks, they still have to do some things. The meaning of the investigation team's existence is not to let them do 100% safe tasks, but to use their own strength and blood to make a bright future for this land. Deng Shentong said firmly, yes, Commander. ZHU Zheng looked at him with a stern expression, but a bit of softness in his eyes. After all the aliens from the outer city arrive, you have to meet them. After all, they are cooperating with you. Deng Shentong touched his chin and suddenly asked, Zhang Yi from Xianhai City, is this action coming? ZHU Zheng smiled and nodded. His name is indeed on the list. Chapter 624. Zhang Yi chatted with Bailey Changqing in the password bar and learned about some changes in Linhai City. He already had some calculations in his heart. This operation still takes his personal safety as the first criterion. While keeping yourself safe, kill as many Ronin as possible. After all, there were only 13 people in Eclipse, and Zhang Yi knew very well that they were able to cause chaos in Linhai City only because they had no power to restrain them. However, the jurisdiction of the Jiangnan region is too large, and it is impossible to concentrate a large number of troops to deal with them. Otherwise, if the 6 major investigation teams and 5,000 Yan Yunhui make a move, the number of eclipses will be doubled and there will be no possibility of winning. Therefore, the end of this farce is inevitable, but the process is still unpredictable. The eclipse of the moon is impossible to be stupid enough to fight the Jiangnan region to the end. If they choose to escape, or continue to wander around the Jiangnan region, that is the most troublesome problem. Except for Blizzard City, the headquarters of the Jiangnan region, there is almost no city in the Jiangnan region that can compete with them. After all, it was the organization that gathered the most vicious thugs in Kanto. But except for Xianhai City, if they ran to Zhang Yi's territory, they would not be able to get half of the bargain. It's just that Zhang Yi didn't want to see that kind of result. In the afternoon, Zhang Yi received a notification from Lan Xincheng. Inform him to go to the combat center tomorrow morning to attend the combat meeting. Zhang Yi laughed dumbfounded after seeing the news. I thought ZHU Shui would talk to me alone. It seems that I was thinking too much. He shrugged his shoulders towards Bailey Changqing. This is a good thing. It shows that ZHU Zheng doesn't care too much about his existence, and Zhang Yi is also happy not to be noticed. Bailey Changqing laughed. The ones summoned from the outer city this time are all first-class experts. You are not the only one. It's not good for ZHU Shui to meet alone. It's better for everyone to chat together. His eyes flashed. After all, this time, it involves very important and complicated matters. You don't know a lot of information, so I have to explain it to you. Zhang Yi nodded. That's fine. He is also very interested in the top players in the outer city. There were too many people who came last time, and he couldn't tell which people were strong or weak. But this time, due to the special nature of the task, those who came must be masters with superior strength. It's also good to chat with them. When Zhang Yi was thinking this way, he unconsciously forgot one thing in his heart: his strength. Looking at the entire Jiangnan region was at a super first class level. This is Zhang Yi's old problem. An overly cautious attitude made him used to value others. However, since ZHU Zheng didn't see him today, then Zhang Yi reached out and knocked on the black plexiglass table, smiled and said to Bailey Changqing, "Then let's have a drink together." Bailey Changqing smiled and pressed the service bell. "Okay, let's have a good drink today." Zhang Yi's drinking capacity has always been good, and Bailey Changqing and the others drank a lot of bottles this night. Meng Xiao's cheeks were flushed, her figure was shaky, and she struggled to walk. Wu Di came over with 2 bottles in his hands, his eyes burning to avenge Zhang Yi. Although he lost to Zhang Yi in the fight, he wanted to get back his place at the wine table. But this time, he lost even worse. Even Liang Yu, who had always been taciturn, was dragged by Meng Xiao to drink some. It wasn't until midnight that Bailey Changqing drove Zhang Yi and the others to the apartment where strangers from outside the city were entertained. Whether it was intentional or not, Bailey Changqing only opened one room for them. Liang Yu drank less alcohol, and her head was still sober. She looked at Zhang Yi, who was lying on the bed, and then realized that the two were in the same room, and she couldn't help but blushed slightly. Just when she was about to open another room, Zhang Yi suddenly sat up from the bed. Although his eyes were a little erratic, his mind was still clear. That little wine would not make him drunk. With Zhang Yi's character, it is impossible to really get drunk in a strange place. Have they all gone? Zhang Yi yawned and asked. Liang Yu bit her lip, put the long knife aside, and said leisurely, "Let's go." "Are you pretending to be drunk?" "That's not so," Zhang Yi said lightly. "Even if I'm drunk, my head is still sober." He did drink a lot, but only at the beginning. Later, when Lan Wudai came up to fight with him, Zhang Yi secretly used the ability of different space to pour most of the wine into it. He took out a bottle of milk from the different dimension and asked Liang Yu to heat it up with a kettle for her. Then Zhang Yi sat on the sofa in the room, and as soon as he waved, Huahe jumped up and sat cross-legged on his lap. While stroking Huahe, Zhang Yi leaned on the sofa thinking about the information he got today. His eyes are sharp, shining with the light of wisdom. This time the region summoned the top aliens from the outer city, instead of summoning all forces like last time. It also shows that the tactics have begun to change. It is no longer to use the advantage of numbers to conduct encirclement and annihilation battles, but to use an elite team. In other words, is the advantage of numbers useless? Zhang Yi narrowed his eyes slightly. This approach is indeed correct. After the aliens reach the Delta level, especially the combat aliens, their strength has far exceeded the scope of human understanding. Even the vast majority of light heat weapons can be ignored. In such a state, low-level aliens and ordinary humans, even well-trained fighters, could hardly play a role in front of them. After the 10 alien organizations were wiped out, the Jiangnan region realized this and began to change their combat methods. And next, the Celestial Squad will lead the team, and there is a high probability that the aliens from the outer city will assist in the battle. Then what are the responsibilities of myself and other outsiders? Cannon fodder? Zhang Yi read these two words gently in his mouth. But soon he shook his head, dismissing the idea. If you want cannon fodder, a large number of ordinary aliens and elite fighters are the best choice. But this time, the people transferred here are definitely stronger than the aliens from the first batch of top 10 alien organizations. Those of us outsiders, although the overall combatability is not as good as Blizzard City's professional team, but the individual combatability may not be much weaker than them. According to some information obtained before, Eclipse Moon has only 13 members. In any case, our numbers are at an advantage. So, the district's consideration is to let us contain those people, and then create opportunities for the Celestial Squad. Liang Yuan finished the milk, took it and handed it to Zhang Yi. I thought, would it just be for us to make sure the Ronin don't escape? After all, once they find that something is wrong, they are likely to flee directly. Hunting them down is much more difficult than annihilating them. Chapter 625. Zhang Yi nodded, took the bottle, and took a sip of warm milk. After drinking, drink some of this again. It really makes people feel a lot warmer and more comfortable in the stomach. Yeah. It's easy to tell the winner, but this is a war, and others won't fight you to the death. They will use all kinds of schemes, but they will run away, even if they are defeated. He suddenly thought of an interesting fable, and looked at Liang Yu with a smile. Mr. Liang, I want to ask you a question. If a mouse ran into the ammunition depot with a fire in its mouth, what would you do? Liang Yu blinked, and she reacted quickly. This is a very classic story, from film and television drama works decades ago. Then let the cat chase after it with water in its mouth. She said with a smile. We are cats, eclipses are mice. M.Og Zhang Yi asked with a smile. Just in this story, what are water and fire? Liang Yu frowned slightly. She was a little puzzled by this question. The fire should refer to the various negative effects they have brought. As long as they exist for a day, the region will not be stable internally, and externally, people will think that our Jiangnan region is incompetent. As for the water, I don't know. Water is used to put out fires. How does the Jiangnan region plan to deal with these rogues? How does she know? Zhang Yi took a deep breath. Perhaps this water is us. Us? I don't quite understand. Liang Yu was dumbfounded. Zhang Yi rubbed Huahua's head vigorously. We are acting together with the Celestial Squad, and the main force is naturally the Celestial Squad. Then, we may be used for sacrifices and sacrifices. If it's possible, I believe the top management of the regional headquarters would not mind, and exchange our lives for the demise of the Eclipse team. Are you right? This is the biggest worry in Zhang Yi's heart. He doesn't mind being in danger to take on the Eclipse, but he is also unwilling to be cannon fodder. Liang Yu's eyes shook violently. She wanted to say something, but she didn't know how to speak when the word came to her lips. Indeed, according to common sense, that is the case. I don't think there is anything wrong with doing that in the Jiangnan region. Even on the battlefield, there will be a way to lure the enemy into the depths, and some soldiers will be used as bait to sacrifice. War is like this. In order to win the overall situation, small soldiers and even carts can be sacrificed. Everything is for the final victory. But, Zhang Yi accentuated his tone a little. He lowered his head and stroked Huahua, feeling the soft warmth of its fur, which has always been his favorite. I'm not that great. Especially when we bring you and Huahua together, we need to be more careful. No matter what happens, you have to remember one thing. We must put our own safety first. Once life is found to be in danger, flee to a safe place as soon as possible. After Liang Yu finished listening, she was silent for a moment. She suddenly raised her head and asked Zhang Yi seriously, even if the mission failed because of our escape, do we still have to do this? Zhang Yi glanced at her with playful and teasing eyes. Are you taking yourself too seriously? If the Jiangnan region really wants to eliminate the eclipse, they can do anything. It's just that they are weighing whether the price they need to pay is worth it. There is even a possibility, if the price to be paid is too heavy, they may not negotiate with the eclipse and allow them to survive on this land. Now is the end of the world, and everyone has their own interests that need to be protected. Even those high-level officials in Blizzard City are absolutely no exception. Liang Yu was greatly shocked, and she said excitedly, this is impossible. Once you do that kind of thing, you will be scolded by the world. But Zhang Yi smiled and said, since the day Blizzard City called all the alien organizations in the Jiangnan region to meet and establish the Superpower Federation, it means that Blizzard City is unable to govern the entire region. This is not just the current state of the land, but the whole world. The country of Hua is strong, and it can still maintain the stability of the 6 regions. In other areas, many are falling apart, and there are many different forces, big and small. Even Neon itself is divided into 2 major organizations, the Pelican in Kansai and the Izumo in Kanto. There are also many undercurrents such as Eclipse Moon below, with the intention of defeating the alien organizations above. Conflicts and chaos will become more frequent with the appearance and growth of aliens. To use the classic words of the 3 kingdoms, it is the general trend of the world. If it is divided for a long time, it will be united, and if it is united for a long time, it will be divided. Zhang Yi had already prepared in his heart. It's just that, although Liang Yu has experienced the previous changes, and her heart has undergone many changes, it is difficult to change a person's nature. Zhang Yi had to explain it to her to prevent her from being overwhelmed at critical moments. After all, this is not the first time she has taken risks because of excessive enthusiasm. Liang Yu was not as good at talking as Zhang Yi. She pouted her lips, and after a long silence, she folded her arms and said, everything is your reason. I see. Anyway, when the time comes, I will do whatever you want me to do. Already, she teaches physical education. She is very good at using a knife, but it is somewhat embarrassing for her to use her brain. Zhang Yi nodded in satisfaction. That's right. Zhang Yi looked at her, and then at Oahu on her lap, who was snoring and slurping, enjoying herself, and felt that such a partner was really good. The fighting power is strong and obedient. It can't be better. Thinking of the meeting tomorrow, Zhang Yi said, okay, the weather is getting late. Let's go to bed early. As he spoke, he stood up with Oahu in his arms, planning to take a shower and sleep. Liang Yu's face suddenly turned red. Rest. Zhang Yi blinked, and then remembered that Bailey Changqing only opened 1 room for them. I don't know if I drank too much and forgot about it. Perhaps Bailey Changqing felt that the relationship between the 2 of them was unusual. Too bad, it's all over, and the management staff of the apartment have already rested. Zhang Yi touched his chin, feeling a little troublesome. Conscience of heaven and earth, he didn't do it on purpose. He was thinking about dealing with the eclipse of the moon at the time, but he didn't think of it at all. Liang Yu's face flushed with embarrassment. She tried to stay calm, turned the doorknob, and planned to go out. I'd better go out first. Zhang Yi said lightly behind her. It's so cold outside at night. Do you want to freeze to death? Besides, if you don't have a good rest today and attend such an important meeting tomorrow, don't you want to make a fool of yourself? Liang Yu lowered her head. Her voice was like a gnat. But, how can I sleep in just 1 room? Zhang Yi glanced at the bed in the room. It was a big double bed. This bed is quite big. It doesn't matter if you squeeze it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.